One of the most famous tracks in all of motor racing, Darlington Raceway is known by many names. Whether it's the track Too Tough to Tame or the Lady in Black, this presents a challenge unlike any other in stock car racing. And tonight, it plays host to the second race of the round of 12 here in the OiL Cup Series, live on VSPEED. Welcome in, everybody. My name is Alex Gagnon, and alongside me in the booth tonight and producing it is Logan Threlkeld. Should be an absolute blast tonight, Logan.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, Alex. And you know, it's Darlington. It's going to be crazy. There's no doubt about it. 220 laps here tonight. There's going to be some fireworks.
There's always some fireworks when it comes to a track like Darlington. Such a difficult track to drive. You see here 220 laps tonight from this about a mile-and-a-half long track. It's going to be a real grind for these playoff drivers tonight to go out there and pick up the victory that they so desperately seek to qualify into the round of 8. See, one stage break scheduled for tonight at lap 65. We make our way into this track info, Logan. I mean, the banking here, not only is it high banked, but these corners, not at all alike. Your car might work great in 1 and 2. It might be miserable in 3 and 4.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one thing they're really going to have to pay attention to is, you know, you can't really adjust to just one side of the track. You have to be able to adjust to both sides of the track, and that's going to be proven difficult tonight for sure.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. This place, you know, with how wide 1 and 2 is compared to 3 and 4, you might think it's the one with more room, but arguably it's the one that has a thinner lane. It's such a narrow entry and exit on turns 1 and 2. It's a very easy way to get the famed Darlington stripe where you brush that outside of your car up against the wall off of turn 2. Happens there more often than anywhere else on this track. There's no place on track that's really safe. That's just the one that is the most dangerous. We make our way to the current point standings coming into tonight's race. Those names in gold still with a chance to move on to the round of 8. Yusuf Ghali moves on with his win last week at New Hampshire. That win will lock him in, not to mention he is top of the points there. But, you know, after this race and then next week at Texas, this 12 cuts down to 8. So for drivers like Jonathan Cofield, David Farmer, Sean Kaiser, and Craig Schroeder, pressure's on to try and get some of those much-needed points here tonight and get yourself back in the hunt.
All right, Alex, I think these guys should be finishing up with qualifying any moment now. So we'll get right to the action for you guys here tonight. Looking forward to bringing this broadcast to you. Hope you guys all enjoy it while you're here. It's again, it's Darlington. It's going to be crazy. 299 miles tonight. And nickname, usually the Southern 500. Tonight we're going with the Southern 299. Like Alex said earlier, 220 laps. Stage lap at lap 65. So it's going to be action-packed through and through tonight. Really looking forward to it.
Yeah, it should be a good one here. And, with a stage happening so early in the race, I mean, there's going to be over 150 laps to the end green if there's no cautions that fly on track. So certainly multiple opportunities and multiple potential chances for green flag pit stops here tonight, which will be certainly something to watch. The pit strategy at Darlington can really make or break a race. But at this point, I do believe qualifying has concluded, and it brings us to tonight's starting grid.
Get down here to check out these cars on the racetrack while we go through the grid here.
Seeing some of the throwbacks in full force here tonight. As last week's winner and four-time winner so far this season in the OiL Cup Series, Yusuf Ghali, he puts it on pole with a 29.487. It'll be the 58 of Jonathan Cofield to his outside. Just about to take the grid here, it is the 48 of John Schwartz and the 94 of Bobby Hall Jr. That'll make up row 2. Back in row 3, it's the 25 of Sean Kaiser alongside the 44 of Radburn Shutters. Seeing a lot of really, really fun throwback schemes out there tonight. There's no doubt about that. Eric Hutton in the 87, rolling off 7th tonight, the inside of row 4. The 17 of James Silvers lines up to his outside. And rounding out the top 10, it's the 84 of David Farmer and the 42 of Cody Anderson.
Behind David and Cody, we have Brandon Holder in the 11th position and Matt Grenier in the 12th position. And then we have Nick Mills in the 88 machine. Blake Hensley to the outside of him. And last but not least, Drew Prohl in the 80 car, next to Colt Plaskowski in the 3 car in the 16th position. Short field tonight here.
Short field tonight will create a lot of opportunities for good racing, I think, throughout the track. When there's not a ton of traffic you have to contend with, you really have the opportunity to really race the track and kind of make your own race happen. And I think that's something that a lot of the drivers, especially up front, are going to really relish in should they get the opportunity for a long green flag run. And with the way iRacing codes what is and is not the racing line here, I think we're going to see quite a few opportunities for green flag runs if last night's OiL Xfinity race was any indication.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, with a short field, it just enhances the ability to drive safely. If this was 25 to 30 cars on this racetrack tonight, I think it'd be a totally different story. But we've got most of the top 12 drivers here in the points. I think we're only missing 1 or 2 on the field tonight. So that these guys are looking to put their top game on the line right here tonight.
No doubt about that. And as they make their way down through 3 and 4, the pace car gonna peel off down pit road. That green flag waiting in the air. As they make their way off the corner, they're gonna hit that restart zone. And we are playoff racing here at Darlington in the Southern 299.
Yusuf Ghali immediately looking to take that high line. Made sure that he was clear of that second place car before he did it. But he's already putting a couple links on second place. I think we'll see him be quite fast tonight.
Yeah, he got an absolutely stellar launch on the start there. Pulls away. He's going to pull the 48 and the 58 with him. There's going to be a little bit of a 3-car breakaway here from the rest of the field. Just behind them, though, a lot of cars still trying to get themselves sorted out. As they make their way through 1 and 2, everyone fanning nose to tail, fighting for all the track position they can find out there. Right now on board with the 25 of Sean Kaiser. Now jumping a little farther on back, you see Bobby Hall in the middle of this battle with Silvers and Farmer. Down through the corner they go, back onto the backstretch here. Hall going to try and take that inside line. Farmer going to go up high, and Hall's going to back out of it here on lap 3. No sense trying to go too wide into the corner entrance of 1 this early in the race. There is simply no room for either driver if they were to stay side by side. So Hall wisely backs out. He will lose the position, though, is jumping back up front. Jonathan Cofield not done yet with Schwartz. He's going to try and get back into second place here as they go down the front straightaway.
Yeah, he's going to look to stay real close to Schwartz here as they're just moving around the track, getting some laps down. Let these tires heat up. Give it about 7 to 10 laps. And then I think we'll start seeing some people up here in the front really looking to make some moves and maybe collect some more points for lead laps tonight.
Yeah, and with 220 laps out there, plenty of opportunities to try and snag yourself a lap lead here, especially if it comes down to some pit cycling. Right now, Yusuf Ghali not turning the wheel wrong. 4 laps down, now on to lap 5. And he's looking pretty good so far. Unbothered up at the front of the field. Plenty of open track to work with. And he has not put a step wrong so far, keeping about a 2-car length gap advantage over the 48 of Schwartz right now, who's got an absolute mirror full of Cofield behind him. But right now, the 58 laying in wait, waiting for his opportunity to try and make a move. Has not been, not a time really to force the issue here in the early going. Really an opportunity to try and see not only what your car has, but everyone else's. As you see Farmer going to lunge it in there to the inside. Takes away the spot from James Silvers. The 84 on the move here early, closing in on the back bumper of the 25 and Kaiser.
I think up here just ahead of him in the 4th and 5th position, Radburn Shutters and Eric Hutton, I believe they swapped spots as well at the same time.
This is where the action is on track right now. 4th on through the back part of the top 10. A lot of cars all fighting for a position here in the early going, trying to get a foothold on track position before people start getting too stratified out. Jumping a little farther on back there, you see Blake Hensley trying to keep ahead of Nick Mills there in the 88, who's trying to close in. He's got the 3 there of Laskowski closing in on him as well. That 3 is going to have to try and make his way through the entire field tonight if he's going to pick up a win. Rolled off in 16th and has already picked up a couple.
Here, just a little bit further ahead, Brandon Holder looking to make a move on Cody Anderson. He's going to get door-to-door with him. Will he be able to have the speed out of this corner to clear Cody before the next turn?
Oh, tough call there.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, brush of the wall there for Anderson. It is so tough in 1 and 2 to stay side by side the whole way around. Looked like they were going to get it sorted, just kind of ran out of real estate right on corner exit. The 42 brushes the wall, and, you know, one of those hits isn't going to sink your day here at Darlington. Doing that repeatedly, though, is certainly going to. So those are the kind of hits you want to try and avoid, especially in the early going.
Absolutely. That's just going to cause aero damage. Not that, you know, aero's a big, big thing here at Darlington, only being a little bit over 1.25 miles. But every bit matters where you can get it.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially with these next-gen cars, the toe length's rather fragile. The last thing you want to do is to bounce off the wall too much, break one of those toe lengths, and start doing serious damage to the race car. As you see here, Farmer all over the back bumper of the 25 right now through the middle of 1 and 2. Going to fall back a car length here down the back straightaway, and now he's going to have to play offense and defense as James Silver is getting into the picture as well.
Really looks like that 25 of Sean Kaiser is just kind of slow on the entry there, and Farmer's not having it. He's going to take a move to the outside and probably clear him before they get out, or even in, rather, for this next corner.
Yeah, Farmer just flew on by here, so the 84 going to take that spot away from Kaiser. The 17 of Silvers now with the 94 of Bobby Hall directly behind him. They're going to see if they can capitalize on the 25's misfortune there on corner entry. Seems just to be having a little bit of a tough time rotating the car right now. On board here with the 94, seeing what you see for a lap or two here with Bobby Hall. You can see just how tight of a track this is. There is almost no racing line here in 1 and 2. You just kind of have to hope that you keep it off the wall, and right when you think you've hit corner exit, it almost cuts back in on you, and it's really easy to clip that wall if you're not paying attention.
Absolutely is, especially when that racing line right now is hug the wall as hard as you can, and don't let go of it.
So you see there is a lap with Bobby Hall. He's been watching this battle unfold with Silvers and Kaiser up ahead of him. He's also got now Brandon Holder on his back bumper. So more action continuing in the top 10 here as the 17 kind of stuck in no man's land between this battle here as Holder looks to the inside of Hall in 3 and 4. The 9 going to try and dig it out on the inside lane. Nothing going there. Now Silver's just up ahead of him. He's going to look to make his move in the 1.
Going to get below the 25. Little bit of contact maybe.
Oh, almost a little bit more contact there on corner exit. Silver's had the bail out. Now here comes Holder to the inside of Hall. These 4 cars under a blanket right now. You can almost introduce Cody Anderson into the mix as well. Hall's into the outside wall, really slows up, holds up the cars behind him. Now, Kaiser and Silvers side by side down the front straightaway as they go in the 1. And Silver's going to take that spot away. The 25 going to shoot up the track to try and cut off the 9.
Good job of holding off that 9 car, Brandon Holder. But now he's got a lot of room to make up. Catch back up to the 17 of James Silvers.
That he does, and you can see there is a swarm of cars behind him as the 94 again clips the wall in 3 and 4. Now Anderson going to look to his inside here and get around him, taking away that 11th spot. See the 88 of Mills and the 42 of Anderson get on by as they make their way down the back front. Yeah, absolutely. Looking up front, not a whole lot has changed. Cofield still applying the pressure to Schwartz, but has not been able to find his way around him here in the opening 17 or 16 laps.
Kind of checked out at this point. They've almost a 1.5 gap from 3rd to 4th place, so not a lot going on in terms of really grouping here. Seems like once they get grouped up, they want to battle, and it's just slowing themselves down.
And then the 48 hits the wall in 3 and 4. Just as we were saying, the 58 was laying in wait. He made his move there in 3 and 4. The 48 clipped the outside wall. They'll be side by side in the 1. Will they get this sorted out? Cofield going to hang on to the inside of Schwartz here. Going to try and roll that inside line. Oh, they run out of room. Contact off of turn 2. Neither one of them ends up fully wrecking, but can't imagine either of them are particularly thrilled with how that went. Especially the 48 of Schwartz, because not only did he get the contact, he lost out on 2nd place.
You know who's extremely happy right now, and it's the 44 of Radburn Shutters. That gap closed significantly. Exactly what he needed to start getting himself up here and throwing his name in the hat.
Yeah, he's now put himself in striking distance of the back 2 steps of the podium here. Another driver who must have been really happy with how that exchange went was our leader, Yusuf Ghali. He's opened up nearly a 2nd lead over the 58 now, as those 2 cars making contact really slowed him down the back straightaway a couple laps ago. So as we make our way on to lap 20, the 45's been dominant up front so far, has led every lap, and now not particularly challenged by the rest of the field, as Cofield's going to have to try and reel him in. But it's going to be hard to do with all that clean track in front of the 45.
Taking a look at this blimp camera here just to see how big that gap is. You know, you try to think about a 2nd to a 1.5 and you just can't always picture it. Well, this is the perfect example. Right now, Radburn Shutters, about roughly 2 seconds ahead of 5th place Eric Hutton, and he's not even in the same frame. It's
not even by a long shot. Yeah, I mean, if we were to jump back, yeah, you can see it's half a straightaway back to Hutton there in 5th. I mean, this is a car that's running inside the top 5 right now, that 87 machine, and is not in the same zip code as the top 4 cars, especially the leader here. 4 seconds back of Yusuf Ghali right now. But he can't worry about trying to get up to the top 4 as they run, because he has got a mirror full of Farmer as they run. The 84 going to try and close in here to the back of the 87 down the backstretch. Maybe going to look to make his move here into 3 and 4. He is closing that gap. Gets off the throttle a little bit earlier, though. He's going to close right into the back bumper through the center of the corner. And as they make their way down the front straightaway, that gap came down just a little bit that time around. Farmer continues to just slowly but methodically reel in those cars in front of him.
Outside of this, the closest battle we have right now, Sean Kaiser and James Silver still.
Some things never change through the opening 20-some laps here at Darlington. The 17 and the 25 consistently staying on top of each other here. This is the battle for 7th, 8th, and 9th as they run. That 25 machine has had a rough start to the stage, if you ask me. He has been doing a lot of defense, but hasn't had the opportunity to be on the offensive very much. They'll make their way down the backstretch here. Silver's only a car length advantage over the 25. Now, Kaiser maybe going to look to the inside here through 3 and 4. Silver's all the way up to the outside wall. The 25's got a nose to the inside here off of 4.
We should have a better run out of that, though.
That he should, but the 25 going to stay right there with him. Now, no contact that time around. It was a close call. And now maybe a little bit of leaning. And now here comes Brandon Holder into the mix.
Even the 88, Nick Mills joins the party now.
As they make their way off of 4, the 25's going to clear Silvers. Holder might get some help from Mills down the front straightaway to get around Silvers. And now Mills to the inside of the 17. But he'll back out before that turns into a disastrous situation for both of them. But still a tough break there for the 17. Lost 2 positions in the matter of a straightaway. Kaiser and then Holder get on by. And both of those positions were inside the top 10 as Silvers clips the wall. Mills right to his inside to try and capitalize.
Like Mills got a little loose and stayed out of it just enough to not get into the side of the 17 car. He's going to lose a little bit of time here, but he's shown that he's got the pace to catch up with him again.
That he does, and he's going to try and reel in the 17 once again here. That gap about 3 car lengths and closing. The battle for 9th place right now. James Silver's up in the blue and yellow 17. And the blue and white 88, Nick Mills, slowly starting to reel him in. As you can see, Blake Hensley a distant 11th here as they run.
An interesting move. Back in the back of the pack, Cody Anderson already coming down pit road. He's in his box currently. Looks like he's taking tires and fuel. It's only lap 28.
Bit of a, maybe a potential undercut here, trying to get some track position for the stage. Not sure how well that will work. He was running outside the top 10 when he came down pit road, so no harm in, I guess, trying something, especially this early in the race, but certainly going to be some effort here for him to undo. As we're looking at this battle for 3rd, Radburn Shutters all over the back bumper of Schwartz here. And now, will he make his move into 3? He's going to look to the high side here. Schwartz going to maybe close the gap off just a little bit on corner exit. And we'll slide up the 44, a big slide off the corner. He's going to lose some of that momentum he had been building. But he is still within the hunt here to try and break into the top 3.
Just to kind of recap on that, I'm going to have to take that back. I believe we might have missed something with Cody Anderson. He's been in the pit box for over a minute already. Maybe some damage to repair.
That would certainly be a tough start to this race. I mean, we're only 30 laps into this 220-lap event. We see the 42 on the timing table already marked 3 laps down, so could be a sign of bigger issues to come here for the 42. Also now a significant number of laps down is the 3 of Blesnowski. He is now scored 6 laps down.
Tough break for those guys. Nick Mills, also in the 88, elected to come down. Doesn't look like he had any damage or penalty. Looks like 4 tires and some fuel, and he's back out on the racetrack 1 lap down now. He will be first in line for a lucky dog.
You'll also be maybe the first car to cycle through on the fresh tires here. You got to imagine that after 30 laps here at Darlington, putting some fresh tires on is going to be a wonderful feeling. As we jump back to the 9 of Brandon Holder, who's running in the back half of the top 10 here. You see out the window, you see the back bumper of the 25, and the 88 would have been there back with Silvers behind the 9, but a big gap there now is Silvers and Hensley, as well as, who was that, Bobby Hall, all battling it out 10th, 11th, 12th, or 9th, 10th, and 11th here, as they run Hall to the inside of Hensley as they make their way into turn 1. Nothing going there for the 94 that time around. Hensley's going to hold on to 10th. Got that. Big dive down. The 17, I think, is trying to get the pit road. Hensley goes under him on the backstretch. Holder also going to bring it down pit road here. So the green flag pit cycle alive and thriving here from Darlington in the opening stage of this race. And we almost had a really tight moment there with James Silvers and Blake Hensley a moment ago.
Just about. Seems like a little bit of a lack of communication there, and luckily both drivers able to avoid that. Seemed like the 17, James Silvers, saw him start to make that move down low. Looked like he corrected it back up towards the top end of the track. Stayed clear of him. Worked out, but yes, very scary moment there.
Yeah, while we are watching that, it also appears that the 44 of Shutters has come down pit road, so one of the first car in that top 5 grouping to do so. Leader Josef Gali still out there on track. He has led every lap of this race so far, has been relatively unchallenged, but this pit cycle might change up who's led a lap here in a moment once the 45 decides to bring it down pit road, but he's maybe waiting on a few more laps to go on by, and a couple of cars behind him still have a lot of work to do if they're going to try and reel in the 45 of Gali here. The next closest car was the 58 of Cofield, who was nearly 3 seconds back, as we're looking here, the battle between Hutton and Kaiser.
And then just looking at some statistics for the 45 of Yusuf Gali, he's not that far off of his pace right now, only about a second off, so he might run this out just as long as he can. A lot of these guys falling off pretty early, 1.5 to 2 seconds already off the pace, so the fresh tires will certainly help him, but Yusuf might just be too fast here tonight.
Certainly a possibility. Sometimes whatever car can get out front early just has the car to beat. We saw it happen last night as well, watching the OiL Xfinity Series. That was a 100-lap race where Michael Kostick led 93 laps of it from the pole. The only time he didn't was during the stage break in the pit cycle. So could be an omen of things to come, potentially, for the 45 of Yusuf Gali, who's off to a raging start here, leading the opening 37 laps, about to be 38 when he catches the stripe next time by. A couple more cars have trickled down pit lane. Looks like the 84 of Farmer has come down in the past lap or two, as has the 15 of Matt Grenier. Now, maybe here comes the 87 of Hutton as well.
Alex, I don't know how much time you spent on Darlington yourself, but it's that pit road, it's not easy to get down there, slowed down, and not spin out. So, fantastic job by these guys. I don't see any speeding penalties through the field. Just maybe a little bit of damage repair somewhere in there.
Yeah, I think a lot of people might find the entry to this pit road deceptive, because with everything being paved over, you think you'd have all the room in the world to try and get slowed down and get down the pit road effectively, but where the entrance of it actually is on track, it's not really at the end of the corner. It's kind of in the middle of 3 and 4. So you need to make that decision really before you hit the corner, but you're still carrying all that speed down the back straightaway. And if you're forcing it too much, you could really send it in there and spin out when you have to make that quick left turn, the last possible second to make your way on the pit road. But so far, no issues for any of these drivers on track, as you see the 44 of Shutters on those fresher tires, showing how the difference can be between those who have not come down pit road yet and those who have, as he absolutely roars past Bobby Hall and will look to set up Blake Hensley here in 1 and 2. Look at that, just drives right by him. The fresh tires certainly being put to good effect right now by the 44 of Radburn Shutters, who's currently scored in 7th. He's pulled out a bit of a gap here compared to some of the other cars not on the lead lap, but there's a number of cars who have yet to come down pit road. The top 6 of Golly, Cofield, Schwartz, Kaiser, Hensley, and Hall yet to have come down pit road as they run.
There's not much of a battle up there in that top 6. Bobby Hall being the closest to the back end of Blake Hensley, a half-second back, so a little bit further back. Lap traffic here. Nick Mills, Brandon Holder, actually the closest battle on track, about a quarter of a second right now.
You can see that gap between Mills and Holder on track. A couple car lengths here. 43 laps complete. The stage break coming at lap 65. So about 22 laps from the scheduled stage break here tonight. And those cars who have not come down pit road yet, gotta wonder if they might be forfeiting some potential stage points by staying out this late. Will they have the time once they come down pit road to work their way back through the field?
48 of John Schwartz finally electing to come down pit lane. He's making his way through there right now. So he's going to lose a couple positions here, but looks like he's going to go for the undercut on the stage break.
Looking on track here, Blake Hensley, Nick Mills. Both of these guys trying to get around the 31. Or sorry, Holder and Mills trying to get around the 31 of Hensley. Most cars on track at this point have made their way down pit road. Only 4 remain on track, the tail end of which is the 31 of Hensley. Kaiser, Cofield, and Golly, the ones who have not. So the top 2 cars still running on track and running to good effect as you see the 48 of Schwartz merging back into traffic here. He was the highest running car before the pit cycle who has now come down pit road.
It's incredible to look at the separation between the top 4. Got 5 seconds between first and second. 6 seconds, rather. We've got 2.5 seconds from second to third, and then 4.5 seconds from third to fourth.
Yeah, it is really spread out here, and that's the nature, you know. Green flag pit stops in a field that was only 16 cars. A ton of opportunity on track to really find your own little patch of asphalt and really get comfortable out there just running hot laps with no real cars to battle with. And we're seeing that happen for a lot of our drivers out there right now, as after 47 laps and most of them coming down pit road, it's really spread a lot of them out. As you see, Silver's on fresh tires here, just going to drive up and around the 31. Now actually going to look to the inside here of Hensley, but will get the job done nonetheless, I'd imagine, in 3 and 4. Jumping back there, that's the 15 of Matt Grenier. Having a pretty quiet night so far, as it looks like the leaders have come down pit road. Yusuf Ghali down pit road.
Jonathan Cofield also back there behind him. That leaves us with 2 on the racing surface, on the original tires.
So Sean Kaiser maybe going to hope for something to happen here. Never mind. He's going to bring it immediately down pit road, 1 lap after the previous leaders, as will Blake Hensley. So that means everybody now has come down pit road during this pit cycle, and that means the 44 of Radburn Shutters, I believe, will inherit the lead temporarily if he gets out in front of the 45.
Interesting strategy from Yusuf Ghali. 6.2 second pit stop. This is not enough time for 4 tires at all. I don't even think that's enough time for 2 tires.
He may have just gassed it up and went.
I mean, when you've been driving like he has, it's hard not to try it at least, especially with the stage break coming up. You know he's got the speed, even if he falls back in the pack a little bit, that he could make his way back up there with some fresh tires.
You certainly might. But up at the front of the field here as we make our way on the lap 50, the 44 of Radburn Shutter is going to start leading a couple laps here. He got his pit strategy to work with great effect. It's 2 seconds back to David Farmer. And then a few seconds further back to the rest of the field. So the 84 right now, the only one really in contention. You see the 9 of Brandon Holder. There's Yusuf Ghali, who's trying to work himself back into position here. And he'll have the... I was going to say he's going to have the freshest tires in the field, but I'm pretty sure, much to your point, he only maybe took fuel. So this actually might just be him trying to maximize this set of tires in case he needs those other sets for later in this race.
Which makes sense because it's going to be grueling. It's going to be a long race. 220 laps is no easy feat for anybody.
There is no doubt about that. It's not even a particularly short race for those who would be involved not behind the wheel, let alone doing 220 laps here at Darlington, of all places, a track that's not easy to drive. That fatigue will set in sooner rather than later as Hutton gets around Silvers there. He's running in P6. That was a pass 4 position. So the 87 up in the 6th place. The 17 drops back to 7th. Closing in on the end of this stage, about 13 laps to go in this stage as they run. Radburn shutters. That gap has come down to only a second and a half. David Farmer is closing in on the 44.
This is going to get a good run on the outside of Yusuf Ghali. Clears him into the corner, so he's going to gain himself position, put himself up into P4s. Yusuf actually gets into the wall there a little bit.
He's going to kill some of his momentum there. The 88 goes on by, as does the 87. Here comes the 17 of Silvers, who also hits the wall in 3 and 4. Going to look to the inside of the 45 potentially. And he might be able to get it done here in the 1 and 2. The 45 electing to not change tires at that stop, costing him some track position here late in this stage. But he might be trying to set himself up for later race success, knowing that he's already locked into the round of 8.
Further back, Sean Kaiser and Jonathan Cofield going at it.
A little bit of a battle for 9th there. Cofield, some of the freshest tires in the field. And you see he's closing back up to the 48 of Schwartz. Those two cars battled quite a bit for 2nd in the early going of this race. Now finding each other back on track here. That would be the battle for 8th if Cofield gets up to him. But he has not gotten away from Kaiser or the 15 of Grenier yet. As the 25 closes all the way into the back bumper, nearly makes contact with him, and might get a run down the back straightaway here to the inside of Cofield.
You know the 15 of Matt Grenier is looking to get into the top 10 and claim just a couple points for the playoffs here, so this position is just as important to him as it is to everybody else.
And he's going to roll on by. Cofield struggling here in the last couple laps of this stage. You see Drew Prail behind them as well. I believe that's the Robert Presley Scooby-Doo throwback. It's a fun one. I actually have a diecast of that car. It's a sick ride. But Kaiser looks to the inside of Schwartz here. Look at this. 2x2 in 3 and 4. Contact between Prail and Schwartz. They're going to try and get this thing sorted out. They're still side by side there for 10th. Kaiser and Grenier clear, and Prail will clear the 48 there as well.
A little bit further up, James Silvers puts himself in the top 5, got around Nick Mills while that action was going on.
Now it looks like Matt Grenier not content with just getting into the top 10. Going to try and take another point away here, getting around the 25 of Kaiser. And Prail will go right on through with him. Yeah. Opportunistic, that number 80 machine.
Grenier found a perfect line. Prail just followed right behind him. That's what you call good driving.
Now he's got that machine dialed in right now as he's following Matt Grenier up through the field. The 25 of Kaiser. Struggling a little bit here in the closing stages. He's going to try and hold on, I believe, to the final spot of stage points here. Currently running 10th, about 2 seconds ahead of Schwartz. And as we are just about the 5 to go here in the stage, I think that'll be enough for him, enough time for him to hold on and pick up that stage point whenever we hit that marker in a couple laps. See Bobby Hull fly on past the 48 there. That'll be spot past 4 position. He's up to 11th now. Meanwhile, looks like Drew Prail may have caught the back bumper of Matt Grenier for a second there. Drew Prail now going to try and close in down that back straightaway, the 80. Where is he going to try and make his move? Will it be in the corner, or will he wait a minute? Looks like he's going to settle in behind the 15 and try and set up this pass at another time.
Take a look a little bit further up here. Brandon Holder is caught up to David Farmer, looking to get himself into the second place position before this stage break happens. Every point matters.
Every point matters indeed. There's no doubt about it. It's Brandon Holder, David Farmer. This is a pretty important battle on track as well. This is the battle for second, so if the field were to go through the pit cycle during the stage break the same way as they entered it, this would be a chance to restart on the front row. Farmer up front, Holder behind him, nearly gets into the back of him, maybe actually a little bit of contact between the two. Holder on board with now the 9. Going to see if he can try and make his move here in 3 and 4. Can drive it in a lot deeper than the 84 can, it looks like. Now looking to the inside here down the front straightaway. Got a great run off of turn 4. Diving in. Going to try and take the spot away. Sliding up, and he will. Brandon Holder now up in the second place. Farmer drops back to third. Only about 2 laps before the stage break. Farmer, though, not going to go away just yet. He's going to look back to the inside here in 3 and 4. The gloves are off and the battle is on here for second place as we come toward the stage break. The 84 got just a little bit tight. Couldn't quite get the run off the corner he needed.
Yeah, just not enough there, but valiant effort nonetheless.
And this is all happening about 2.5 seconds back of Radburn Shutters, who's only about 1 lap away at this point from picking up the stage victory. As you see here, Prail and Grenier continuing to duke it out in the battle for 8th. Going to see if the 80 really tried to drive it in there. Nothing going on corner entry. Can he set it up on corner exit? He's to the inside of the 15. Trying to dig it for all it was worth. And go on by just as the yellow flag flies to end the opening stage. Tonight's Southern 299. Radburn Shutters wins the opening stage. That 44 machine dialed up the right pit strategy. They'll walk away with the lion's share of the points here for the stage break. But while we got to see a lot of action on track there, Logan, this is only the beginning. 65 down and about 160-some, 150-some to go, something like that.
Yeah, roughly about that. I think once we come back to green flag racing, we should be sitting right around, what is that math? You know, Bradley and I talk about this every time. We're not too good at math. We focus on the broadcasting part of things. So, you know, I'm going to save myself the embarrassment on that one and just hold my tongue.
You know, that's really fair. It's funny because I think that's just becoming a more and more of a VSPEED community issue. Because that was something that I had mentioned to my producer last night, Christian. We were talking about the same deal, like math, not a strong suit here in the VSPEED booth. And I think that just kind of permeates throughout all the VSPEED broadcasts. Is everyone going to make their way down pit road here, led by the 44 of Shutters. Be opportunity for 4 tires and fuel for this entire field. And you see Schwartz and Golly getting into their boxes now. Same deal with Hall.
Not
44
positive.
with a really good stop.
I think we had a couple cars stay out on the track. It might have been the lap cars. I'm not 100% positive.
Timing table showing that the 88 of Nick Mills currently being scored the leader. Our answers will be, the questions will be answered here if he comes down pit road this time by. You see a couple of cars making their way on down, but The 88 is not going to be one of them. So it looks like the 88 going to try a little bit of a strategy here, trying to stay out.
We got the 42, Cody Anderson, just ahead of him. Scored in 15th position, 1 lap down. So it's, I think he's probably looking for a wave around at this point. Get back on that lead lap.
Yeah, an opportunity here potentially for both the 48 and the 42 to try and get back on the lead lap. And looks like, the damage has been stopped there for Bleskowski. He's now only 5 laps down. We did see him running as low as 6 down in the opening 20 laps of this race, but still going to be a long hole to try and dig himself out of, as he's currently scored 16th, multiple laps behind the rest of the field. So when we hit the stripe here, maybe either the 88 going for the advanced fuel save, or he might be bringing it down pit road this time. Maybe he was just trying to sneak in a quick lap lead, and now he's going to bring it down pit road. Pit entry is closed, so he will get an end of line for that. But I think pitting this late was going to make him at the end of the line regardless, so maybe not a bad move there from the 88 of Mills. Might be able to get that lap led, and that means the 44 and the 9 of Radburn Shutters and Brandon Holder, respectively, will make up your front row on this restart. David Farmer, and then the 87 of Eric Hutton, row 2. One of the things that really has me intrigued, though, Logan, Yusuf Ghali scored back there in 7th right now. I do believe, though, he took some fresh tires on that stop. We know his car works great in clean air. How will it handle trying to fight through traffic?
He hasn't really had to do that just yet, so it's going to throw a wrench in things for him. But if he can get some clean air on the front nose of that car, I don't think he'll have a problem.
So the field starting to get stacked up here. Lights are off on the pace car. Make that hard left-hander back down the pit road. That green flag steady in the air as they make their way off of turn 4. They're going to hit the restart zone, and for only the second time today, we are racing once again from Darlington. What a launch by the 44.
Absolutely looking just like Yusuf Ghali on the start of this race, so maybe he'll make himself a long run here. Collect some points for laps led.
Meanwhile, behind him, David Farmer, Brandon Holder, the battle that was happening just before the stage break, going to pick right back up as Farmer got on by. Silver's now slotting into 4th behind Holder as they make their way down the front stretch. The restart, always a little chaotic here at Darlington. It's prime opportunity to pick up track position before the field gets too spread out. We jump back here to the 45 of Ghali. He's gotten around the 80 of Prail. He's going to try and look to capitalize here as Hutton looks to the inside of Silvers just ahead of him.
You can see Prail right behind him, really diving into that corner, almost making contact as Yusuf almost makes contact with the back end of Silvers out of turn 4. He's going to get a good look at the inside and just barely pushes the door with him. Keeps it clean, though, for now. He is going to gain that position, get himself back up into the top 5. You see the 31, Blake Hensley, now looking on to the inside of James Silvers. Also going to collect a position here. A little bit more action this time off this restart, Alex.
Yeah, everyone, I think, now having about 70 laps of racing under their belt, kind of knows what their car can and can't do. And they're being a little more aggressive with it. You saw Bobby Hall with a daring move to the inside of Prail. Hensley with a daring move on Silvers. It looks like Hensley might be trying to close in on the back bumper of Yusuf Ghali. They'll spread out a little bit here in 3 and 4. You see all this action happening. This is 5th through 9th on track, all nose to tail here. And one of the other cars that were so dominant in the early going, the 58 of Jonathan Cofield, marred back in traffic But up front, David Farmer has caught the leader, Radburn Shutters.
All this top four here. Radburn Shutters, David Farmer, Brandon Holder, Eric Hutton up here in the mix. All separated by less than half of a second right now.
Shutters has a mirror full of Farmer, who's going to look to the inside here going into turn one. Diving in there is the 84. He'll take away the position. New leader here at Darlington on lap 75. It's the 84 of David Farmer, who's going to absolutely set sail from second through fifth. Look at the gap he opened up just in turns 1 and 2. It opened up to about 4 car lengths. Now here comes the rest of the field, though, roaring back to him.
It's a fantastic run for the 84 car there, but it does not stay there long.
Just behind him, Yusuf Ghali pushed the 87 of Hutton around Holder. Ghali going to follow him on through as the 9 stuck up to the outside. Everyone's going past him on the inside now. Hensley's going to get around him. Blake Silvers is going to get around him. Bobby Hall's going to look to try and do the same. Brandon Holder was running 4th a lap ago. He might be in danger of falling out of the top 8 at the rate they're going here. As Hall now is going to have a nose ahead at the line. Brandon Holder under assault on that inside lane here. Everyone just running that inside line. Finally going to end here when the 9... Oh, there's smoke up ahead of him. Someone must have really got a piece of the wall. It might have been the 31 of Hensley. It's tough to tell from that angle. We just saw a plume of smoke up in front of him there. As they go side by side for second, Hutton gets around Radburn Shutters. So does the Ghali machine. And now the top 3, the 84, the 87, and the 45. Hensley going to get around the 44 as well and move up in the 4th.
Might have been Shutters that got into the wall a couple laps ago. I can't quite see the damage on any of the cars, making it very difficult to pinpoint who that was.
I would not be shocked if it was the 44, much to your point, though. He lost a lot of track position over the ensuing lap, falling from 2nd all the way to 5th. He's got Silvers and Bobby Hall now trying to breathe down the back of his neck as they make their way through 1 and 2. Sean Kaiser not too far out of the picture as well. Some good action going on there. Meanwhile, back up for second, Yusuf Ghali has continued to just follow Eric Hutton all the way to the front of this field, and now they have closed the gap on David Farmer.
Farmer's still doing a great job, though, to stay out ahead. It's only a matter of time, though. You can only run these tires so hard for so long. As we see another car that's going to be the 42 of Cody Anderson coming out of pit lane. He's going to be a factor here going into turns 3 and 4.
Looks like the top 3 cars are going to get on by, but it's going to open the door for Hutton to look to the inside here on corner exit. They're going to be door-to-door coming off of turn 4. Still side by side at the stripe, making their way in the 1. A lunge to the inside from Hutton. Not going to work that time around. Farmer holds on to the lead this time by, but the pressure is getting turned up the high here from Eric Hutton and Yusuf Ghali. You can add Blake Hensley to the mix as well. These 4 cars getting some separation from the field as Hutton looks back to the inside here.
At this point, Hutton, he's just really showing him what he's got, what he's capable of. He's not going to let Farmer get away with this easily.
That was a big slide off of 4 from the 84 of Farmer. He was able to really keep the throttle down, but, you know, spinning out like that, coming off the corner time and time again, will really start to heat up your tires faster than you like. You see Blake Hensley breathing down the back of the neck of Yusuf Ghali there in the 3. That 31 machine not content with riding around in 4th. A lot of action right now for the leaders.
It took a little bit longer this time, but now we've got that separation of the top 4 again from the rest of the pack. A little bit over a second from 4th to 5th place now, but that second pack actually staying very close together at the moment. There's not a whole lot of separation between 5th through, say, 13th place right now.
No, there is not. As you see Bobby Hall looking to the inside of Shutters just up there. Hall going to swing on by. Kaiser and Silvers side by side as well. That's a battle for position inside the top 10 as Kaiser goes on through. Right now, it seems like the cars are most comfortable up high, but if you want to make a pass, you got to make it work down low.
I think Highline's going to be kind of for tires at the moment. We'll take a look back up front here. Eric Hutton again taking a look to the inside of David Farmer. He's going to have some help with Yusuf Ghali right on the back bumper of him. We might see kind of the same move that we saw earlier, where he got just a little bit of a bump to get around that car, and can't exactly remember who that was, but fantastic move. We might see almost a live action replay of it here.
While you were saying that, it looked like Hensley took a look to the inside of Ghali. The two made a bit of contact in 1 and 2. Really slowed up both cars, but especially the 31. He'll have to try and work his way back up to the back bumper of Ghali. It seems like Hutton continues to get a run off the backstretch into 3 and 4 to get to the inside of the 84 of Farmer, and then just doesn't quite have the speed he needs to complete the pass. And that continues to let the 3rd and 4th place cars of Ghali and Hensley get right into the mix as well, but then they've got nowhere to go, because this is only really a track where you can run too wide at best in these corners. So it's been really interesting to see how this battle up front's been unfolding. David Farmer's been playing a lot of defense, but I think Eric Hutton might be playing more defense than he might be letting on, as the 45 continues to be trapped behind him here. And you see them go down, try and take away the air a little bit. And the 45 now going to try and poke his head out and try and take away 2nd place.
We saw the 87 there doing a lot of defense the last couple of laps. You know, especially on the exit. You saw Yusuf would get a little bit more of a turn down in that 45 car, and you'd slowly see the 87 starting to make the same move to make sure he stayed in front of Yusuf Ghali.
Yeah, so Ghali now up into 2nd. Blake Hensley now going to try and take away 3rd place from Hutton if he can make this pass work in 3 and 4. Side by side as they make their way on in. Just can't keep the throttle down, though, through the middle of the corner on that inside. Contact between the two. The 31 of Hensley goes way down to the inside of the track. He will recollect it, but the 31 certainly not making any friends out there. A little bit of contact with him and Ghali a few laps ago. Now him and Hutton. And, you know, in both cases, it's just good, hard racing between the two. But either way, it's really keeping the 31 from making any forward progress.
But eventually, one of these times, he's going to make that move that works for him. No contact, and he'll make a pass. We'll see him up here in the top 3.
So as they run here on lap 90, David Farmer, your leader, he's led for the majority of this restart since the stage break. He is ahead of the 45 of Yusuf Ghali right now. Eric Hutton and Blake Hensley currently scored in 3rd and 4th as they run. And then back to 5th, it's Bobby Hall Jr. with Sean Kaiser back there in 6th. Your leaders on lap 90. A lot of cars moving up and down the field right now, but maybe none more so than this man. You see Jonathan Cofield here on the move, trying to get around the 9 of Brandon Holder. And he will do so. He's trying to slowly work his way back into contention here. Had been running in the top 3 most of the day. Restarted back in 12th. Now he's up to 9th. He might be able to close in and get a couple more spots here, as there's a few more cars not too far away from him. You know he'd desperately like to get back up into that lead battle fight. Right now, though, has a lot of traffic between him and the leaders.
Absolutely. It's going to be key for him to start making his way back up to the front, although right now sitting 4th in points for the playoffs, so we might just also be looking to finish this race in just a decent position.
It cannot be overstated how much points are going to be critical here tonight. We got a battle for a lead. I'll get back to that thought later. Ghali to the inside of Farmer. Contact between the two. The 45 has to bail out the throttle and recollect the car. Luckily for both machines that neither one of them ended up in the wall or spinning. Yusuf Ghali had a great run in turn 1. Every time we've cut to a side-by-side battle lately in turn 1, it's always ended with those two cars bouncing off each other.
As we saw that just
1
a
and
few
2,
laps before
dangerous
with
place
Hutton
to be.
and Hensley.
Yeah, 100%. It's been a dangerous place to be lately.
this point, the field is pretty well spread out outside of these two. It seems to be about a half-second gap between most of the cars on the field. Not a whole lot going on. A lot of single-file racing right now, and even the third and fourth place positions kind of falling off as Yusuf Ghali finally makes that pass and gets around David Farmer to claim the lead. And he is going to tack on some more points for those laps led.
Yeah, he is continuing his run of good form here. He won last week at New Hampshire. Is in good shape here right now as he's back to the point. He's got a mirror full of the 84 of Farmer right now, but he's going to be able to try and defend as opposed to attack. But much to what you were saying about the playoff points here, with such a small field and only 16 drivers, every point is going to be so critical because there's not a huge opportunity to really spread out from your competitors. So if you have a bad day, all of your competitors are statistically probably going to have a pretty good one. So you don't want to be the odd man out. Every position is going to be worth its weight in gold here tonight. As you see right now, this battle between Yusuf Ghali and David Farmer still remains at about a car length. As you look a little further on back, Blake Hensley suddenly has some company here from the 25. Battle for fourth as they run. Blake Hensley scored in that fourth position, that orange and black number 31. Sean Kaiser now to the inside, trying to take that spot away. In the red and gold number 25. Gonna roll that inside, and he takes that spot with relative ease. So now, up in the fourth place, it's the 25 machine, who's probably been up and down this field more than just about anybody here tonight. He fell back a little bit in the early goings of the first stage, but now seems to have that car dialed in and has it move in the right direction.
Absolutely. And just to kind of backtrack a little bit, whenever it comes to the points for the playoffs, like you said, Yusuf Ghali winning last week locks himself into the round of 8. He doesn't really need the win, but I'm sure he'd like to put another one under his belt just to make sure that nobody else can lock themselves in with a win. But David Farmer currently sitting in 8th place in points. So it's kind of make or break for him. A win here tonight would be huge for David Farmer.
It certainly would be. Even if he can't pick up the win, he'll need to try and grab every point he can, but a win would do numbers to lock him in to the next round. He's still, I believe, looking for his first victory of the season, so there'd be a lot of just sentimental value on top of the points value of winning here tonight. So we've reached lap 100 of this 220-lap race, and we're looking a little farther back in the field. James Silvers, Radburn Shutters, and John Schwartz all battling it out here. That 48 machine had some good pace early, but still finds himself a lap down. Gonna have to try and find his way to get his lap back one way or another. He's in the free pass position should there be a caution, but so far outside of the stage break, it has been clean and green through the opening 100 laps.
I can't complain too much. One caution is the stage break, so you can ignore that. 8 lead changes so far. It's been a great race. These guys are really showcasing their skill and why they've made it to the top 12 for the playoffs.
That they have, and this show will continue here. As you see Hutton get around the 45. David Farmer is in the lead here. I'm trying to see if the 45 had just come down pit road a second ago, or if he was having issues.
I think he was having issues. I did not see anything of him coming down pit road. Plus, surely he would have gone a lap or two down, as he does now pull it into pit road. Wonder if he tagged that wall a little too many times.
It is certainly a possibility here at Darlington. May have gotten that famed Darlington stripe here while he was leading the race. So he'll have some work to do to try and get back in it as we remain under green flag conditions. Although now up at the front of the field, Dave Farmer has got a mile of track in either direction, it feels like, to any cars on track. So he can just kind of cruise right now. He's got a 1.4 second gap back to Eric Hutton. who's about to be overtaken here by Sean Kaiser. That 25 did a great job saving tires, and he is just picking off the field here one by one in the closing stage of this green flag run.
About coming up on 40 laps on this stint for these tires, and if you break it down, if you really wanted to stretch it out, you could, as we're going to see the 87 of Eric Hutton now bring it down pit road. David Farmer, Sean Kaiser both staying out for another lap at least.
And that means the 58 of Jonathan Cofield going to cycle into P3 here. He has worked his way back into position big time. There's been a couple of cars ahead of him who have come down pit road, but nonetheless, he looks like he has really got that thing working back up to where he wants it to be, back to the pace that we saw in qualifying and in the opening stage of this race. So he now runs in the tail end of these podium positions. But the 84 out in front by a wide margin right now. Dave Farmer in control, just waiting to see whenever he decides to bring it down pit road. Can't imagine these guys are going to extend it too much longer here, knowing that there's still a lot of green flag racing left.
Just a solid line of cars here. Looking at about fifth place, back to 9th right now. Just single filed out, running their line, making sure that they're hitting their marks. 'Cause that's what you have to do at Darlington. It's not about really racing the person in front of you or behind you. It's about racing your line consistently, and whoever can do that more is going to come out on top 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, this track so tricky, and a lot of drivers like it because it very much puts your fate into how good you can manage your tires and how well you can consistently hit your marks here at this place, more so than a lot of other of these mile-and-a-half tracks. But to that same degree, it can be very frustrating when it's not going your way, knowing that you still got a lot of laps to go at a place that is very unforgiving. As you see Matt Grenier roll around past the 88 of Nick Mills. Now Mills going to look back to the inside. He got a really good run off of turn 2. Roars right past the 15 once again. These two deciding this prime time for a battle for 6th place here. They make their way into turn 1. Grenier had gotten a little loose off 4. Here comes Yusuf Ghali, flying past him on fresh tires here. Just going to roar on by in that number 45 machine. Currently scored 1 lap down, but in the 10th position. And closing in on the leaders here to try and get his lap back the old-fashioned way.
And Holder doing a great job keeping himself close to James Silvers in the 17 car. Surely he'll be looking to make a move here soon, or might just hold out where he's at and see what happens whenever they start coming in for green flag pits.
Yeah, I think a lot of drivers might just be waiting to see who else pulls the trigger on the green flag stops here. I'd imagine once 1 or 2 more cars up front do, they all will, as it looks like Cofield down pit lane here, as was Dave Farmer. Bobby Hall has inherited the lead, so that we may have just spoken that one into existence, as here comes Matt Grenier as well.
Quite a few guys coming down pit road right now, but like you said, new leader, Bobby Hall Jr. in the 94 car. But he has Radburn Shutters close behind. We've seen Radburn running a really good race tonight. So if he can stay close, it's a possibility we'll see these two side by side once it comes time for them to pit.
Certainly a possibility as they make their way on the lap 112 over the halfway mark here from Darlington. 112 laps or 111 laps down, about 109 to go from this famed 1 1/3 mile racetrack. Bobby Hall Jr. currently in the lead. Granted, it is through some pit cycling that some other cars in front of him have come down pit road. You see a pretty gnarly Darlington stripe on the side of that 94. If we can potentially see the outside of that car I mean, there's a lot of missing green paint there on the outside of that machine, but he currently leads over Radburn Shutters, and I believe that's Eric Hutton behind him as well. Although he is a lap down, trying to work his way onto the lead lap once again.
You can really see that Darlington stripe there, like you were saying, about midway through the outside door of that car, all the way to the back bumper. This paint missing the entire way. Oh, there's a caution on the track.
Oh, yellow flag is out. Where is the yellow flag flying for, though? I'm trying to see who it might be. Wasn't any clear indications from where we were looking at the time. Looks like someone may have had some issues coming off of turn 4. It looks to be a bit of a smoke cloud there.
See if we can take this back a little bit and find out what exactly happened here. Again, I'm not sure where this happened, so this might take a couple tries to find out. All right, there.
Nope, you found it first try.
3 and the 31. Blake Hensley and Colt Blaskowski. Take it
Heavy
back
contact
here
between the two. And now that we know we found it, let's see a proper look at what happened. Man, 31 was coming in with just such a head of steam. Forced his way to the outside of the 3, and then I don't know if the 31 came down or if the 3 went up or what, but they both ran out of real estate and ended horribly for the 3 of Blaskowski.
It looked like he just got a little loose there. Maybe overcorrected just a tad and got into the side of the 31. We'll take a look from his view on this one now.
Yeah, it looks like the 3 just kind of stepped up the track a little bit. And if it was, a half a lap prior, it would have been fine. But the 31 was coming in with such a head of steam that he had just forced his way to the outside of the 3. And those two things happening at once led to the 3 making contact with the 31 of Hensley, getting up into that outside wall, and brings out the first naturally occurring caution of the night there on lap 113. It's going to really change the complexion of this race because Bobby Hall was one of the few cars who had not come down pit road yet. For those who have, wonder if they also bring it down pit road or what. I mean, we spent some time looking at the replay, but a lot of things all of a sudden up in the air and rather uncertain.
It looks like most of them have brought it down pit road. A couple of them maybe not. Eric Hutton, he elected to come down. He was just down pit road about 11 to 12 laps ago. I believe he took tires there. Looks like he just took fuel here with a under 6-second pit box time. Most of these guys, though, times are reflecting 2 tires. The use of Golly, 4.6. John Swartz, 4.8 seconds in the box. So those guys also electing just for some fuel here. Cody Anderson spending some time in the box right now, probably getting a little bit more of that damage from earlier repair that I assumed that he had. But now Brandon Holder and Nick Mills both coming down pit road as well. It was only a matter of time, Alex.
It was indeed only a matter of time. You can only run so many laps here at Darlington before the lady in black jumps out and grabs somebody, and in this case, it was the black number 3 of Colt Blaskowski, who he was already having a bit of a rough day here, but that's certainly going to make it a bit more unpleasant. It's also going to significantly hamper the 31's ability to pick up a win here tonight. He had been running pretty well. We saw him running as high as 3rd or 4th, but ultimately now we'll settle back a little deeper into the field. So up front right now, Dave Farmer has re-inherited the lead. Radburn Shutters will be restarting to his outside. James Silvers and Drew Prail, row 2. And I believe it's Eric Hutton and Bobby Hall Jr. in row 3. So a couple of the familiar faces up front, a couple that we haven't seen as much up toward the front of the field there in that top group. Yusuf Ghali going to be restarting back from 7th here. Seems like the past couple restarts, he's had to continually work his way back from the back half of the top 10.
We'll see how this strategy goes for David Farmer here. He elected to stay out, not taking tires or fuel. But he does get a good jump off of that restart there. James Silvers takes a look to the inside of the 44 car. He does make that pass cleanly, so he's going to put himself up into second, but the 44 is not going to let it go easy as they're both sideways now.
Prail into the
Big
outside wall. The big
pile-up.
one at Darlington. Golly's into the wall. They're collecting each other back there. The caution's out. Oh, man. That completely changes the complexion of this race. Multiple cars that have led laps tonight involved in that one.
We'll just start this back from where it all started here. See him go into turn one here. Silvers makes that pass. Shutters will get close to the back bumper. Sorry, not Shutters. Yeah, there's where all the action happened. A little bit of a stack up. 45 gets punted into the inside wall. We've got the... Oh, goodness. Who is that back there with the front bumper missing?
I believe that was the 80 of Drew Prail, who was involved in the start of that little ricochet chain. And when it was all said and done, it looks like he got some of the worst of it.
He absolutely did. 45, he's definitely got some damage, but didn't come out looking too terribly bad after that, so... I don't know, though. You can see that front bumper caved in right in the middle. You saw him take a big hit from behind, and then right into the back bumper of the car in front of him. Unfortunate, the 45 of Yusuf Ghali, after running such a great race. This might be a big hindrance on him.
Yeah, the only thing that's working for him is he still has a lot of time before this one's all said and done. You know, he still has about 100 laps to try and get that buffed out and get back up to the front of the field. He has probably been the fastest car out here tonight, but he has got quite some work to do on that machine. As you see right now, he is getting that damage repaired. 58 of Jonathan Cofield also getting some damage repaired from that incident. So a lot of cars collected there behind our leader, Dave Farmer, and that's going to completely change the complexion of not only this race, but especially the top couple rows as they make their way to this ensuing restart, because a lot of those cars were running in the top 5, top 10 when that incident occurred, and it's going to completely change the complexion of who's going to have this track position now.
Looks like the 42, Cody Anderson, might have an opportunity to get himself back on the lead lap here. I believe he is the first car a lap down, the only car a lap down at the moment, actually. He did not come down pit road. He should get that wave around Lucky Dog.
That he should. Now it's a huge break for the 42. You know, that's very much the epitome of you guys got to keep yourself in contention. He has spent most of this race off the lead lap, but as long as you keep yourself in the hunt, you know, a caution can come out. You get yourself the free pass, and all of a sudden, you got a new lease on life with an opportunity to pick up some positions here. So up at the front of this field right now, Dave Farmer is going to have a completely different bunch restarting with him here. It's going to be Eric Hutton, James Silvers, John Schwartz, Radburn Shutters, and Brandon Holder now, your top 6 cars. Matt Grenier, Jonathan Cofield, Nick Mills, Sean Kaiser, your top 10. So a couple of cars that we've been seeing at the front of the field will cycle on back, and a couple of cars who have not been really running in the top 5 tonight having an opportunity to do so. Big opportunity for the 48 of Schwartz, who had top 3 speed in the opening stage of this race, got stuck back a lap down around the stage break, had to work his way back, and now he might be one of the fastest cars who's in the front of the field here, now that he finally has that track position back.
And Dave Farmer still not taking any tires yet. He is on the oldest tires on the field right now.
So, field starting to get stacked up here.
We're electing
Farmer
to
will
take
be...
the outside line this time.
I'm really intrigued by that because the outside has not been the place to be. most of this race. Everyone who's on the inside has really gotten a good jump, and the car that's been second on the inside has usually been able to battle or take away the spot from whoever started first on the outside. So unless Farmer thinks he's found something out there that no one else has yet, he could be in a really tough way here when Eric Hutton tries to make the move to the inside and won. He'll have to get a really good restart as the pace car peels off. They'll make their way out of the corner. There's been a couple of yellows in a row here, maybe a small case of yellow fever, but green flag back in the air here at Darlington. We are racing with less than 100 laps to go in the Southern 299.
There was David Farmer with a great jump. Maybe that outside line on those slightly older tires was the right call. He just completely clears himself away from Eric Hutton and John Schwartz.
Yeah, but Schwartz got around Hutton there. Hutton was the first car on that inside line. The 48 rolls on by, so he's up to second. It's the highest he's been running all day since the opening stage. Hutton's there. Silver's back to fourth with Shutters behind him in fifth. A lot of cars all trying to battle it out for track position here. You also see the 58 of Cofield in the mix here. That's fourth, fifth, and sixth on your screen right now, all nose to tail. Make it seventh with the addition of Matt Grenier. Into the corner they go here. Cofield looking to the inside of Shutters. As a nose to the inside, going to have to back it back in behind the 44 temporarily. He's had good speed here tonight. It's just a matter of trying to set up your pass at the right time. That's especially critical here at Darlington when sometimes these corners do not give you the opportunity to make the pass. Sometimes you just need to set yourself up for the strong run down the straightaways. You see behind them, look at this battle. 4 or 5 cars all battling it out. Kaiser and Mills, Holder in the middle of all of it, with Yusuf Ghali and Cody Anderson behind. All these cars battling for position. The 25 leaning on the inside of the 8 here, and the 88 and 1. Going to try and get clear, and he will. Sean Kaiser now takes that spot. Brendan Holder follows him through. Yusuf Ghali follows him through. Cody Anderson follows him through. 4 positions lost there for the 88 and Nick Mills in one corner. Awful turn of events there for the 88.
Looking at the timing screen right now, Cody Anderson still scored 1 lap down, so I don't know if he was maybe 2 down when that caution came out, or if I just accidentally missed him coming down pit lane, but the 42 car not able to reclaim a lap here.
Jumping up back toward the front of the field, you've got the 17 of Silvers now looking up a little ahead of them. A good battle developing for second. Eric Hutton has got to the back bumper of John Schwartz. The 48 machine looking for his second win of the season if he can work his way back up to Dave Farmer. Right now, though, on the defensive from Hutton, who's looking for his 3rd victory of this OiL Cup Series season.
Dave Farmer already checking out from the field, even though he is on about a 10 to 12 lap difference on tires between Schwartz and Hutton, and just completely cleared him. 1.5 second lead on second place.
Yeah, he has really opened up that gap, and these two have also made a bit of a gap here from Silvers back to fourth. They're kind of on their own little 2-car island battling for second as Hutton. A bit of a late dive to the inside here of Schwartz. Can he roll the inside? Yes, he will. Eric Hutton with a great move in 3 and 4. Will take away the position. Now moves up into P2 with his eyes set on getting back up to Dave Farmer, who has checked out since the restart. Next time by, it'll be 90 laps to go here from Darlington. So a lot of work to do. Probably multiple pit stops still in the works here for some of these drivers. As we see a little farther on back, Matt Grenier, Sean Kaiser, Brandon Holder. This battle here, 7th, 8th, and 9th. Just ahead of them, Cofield to the inside of Shutters.
Field is going to be able to take that position away from Shutters. We'll see if Matt Grenier can follow suit. He still has Sean Kaiser right on the inside of his car. It's going to be difficult to get away from him for sure.
That it will. Look at how dense the traffic is right here. We were saying at some points in this race, people had a lot of room to operate. Not right now if you're any of these cars. Kaiser kind of forced out of that main groove. Now Holder jumps in. Golly to the outside of the 25. Not too often you see a pass on the outside going into turn one, but Yusuf Ghali got it done there. It's around the 25 of Kaiser. Holder going to look to the inside of Matt Grenier. Position swapping hands left and right here in the back half of the top 10.
Yusuf Ghali wasting no time.
On the wall.
Straightened it up and kept it green. How?
I am floored that they didn't throw a yellow for that. That car was sideways in the middle of the racing line, but I guess they deemed they kept a high enough speed and got it straightened out that they will continue. But heavy damage, I have no doubt, for both the 15 and the 9. I mean, they just straight up did what we saw there with Hensley and Blaskowski, just in the straightaway as opposed to the corner.
And that's going to give a good opportunity to the 94 Bobby Hall Jr. to take a look at these two drivers and see if he can start making a way up to the front.
Yeah, he is closed in. Holder here. Going to look to the inside. Oh, nope. Going to just poke his head out for a second. Thought he was going to try and make a pass attempt on Grenier. Going to settle back in behind the 15 is up front there. The 25 of Sean Kaiser looking to the inside of Shutters. Going to try and close it off here in the middle of turn one. Yes, he will. Yusuf Ghali going to follow on through as well. That was the battle for 6th. The 25 now running 6th. Yusuf Ghali has rebounded into 7th here, despite the damage from that wreck about 20 laps ago. That 45 machine, no matter what happens to it, looks like it's just on rails right now. Continues to work his way toward the front, with a little bit of assistance of the 25 helping clear the path.
But further ahead, Jonathan Cofield looking to get to the back bumper of the 17, James Silvers, and see if he can put himself up into 4th place. Both closing in on the 48 of John Schwartz.
That they are. Also, I'm looking at the timing tower here. Eric Hutton has really closed the gap on Dave Farmer. That 87 machine was a second and a half back about 10 laps ago. Now making only a half-second gap for the lead. Dave Farmer, that gap really coming down. You can see it's only about 5 car lengths right now. Hutton is closing in on the leader here. Going to try and take that spot away from the 84.
Again, just to recap a little bit, David Farmer on 9-lap older tires than Eric Hutton right now.
You wouldn't think those 9 laps would make a huge difference, but I think they're showing out there right now as the 87 of Hutton did a really good job reeling in the leader. You can see the gap he put back there to 3rd as well. The gap right now, 0.3 of a second from Hutton the Farmer as they make their way off of turn 4. We lap 139 at the stripe, and Eric Hutton is closing in on trying to take the lead away here from Dave Farmer, who, after not really being a major factor in the opening stage of the race, has really been the dominant car here since we got going from the stage break at lap 65. The past 70-odd laps or so has been really much in favor of the 84, as you see Cofield going to dive in on Silvers here, take that spot away, move up into the top 5. He was already in the top 5, but he's moving up in the 4th now.
We'll see Cofield start working on the back bumper of the 48 car, looking to put himself in the top 3 now. Big run down that backstretch.
Yeah, no doubt about that. He really closed that gap up to the 48 of Schwartz. Going to try and carry that momentum to the inside. Didn't work through 3 and 4, but there is only a half a car length gap between the two as they go in the 1. Cofield elects to not try and force the issue there through 1 and 2, and instead will try and set up his pass for the back straightaway as he roars off of turn 2. Look at the run that he got down the back straightaway. Schwartz had to bail out to the inside, and Cofield takes the spot before they even hit the corner.
Wonder if Schwartz got a little bit loose there coming out of that corner and just had to check up enough to correct the car and keep it going straight down the racetrack. Cofield just able to take advantage of the opportunity as now he's going to be looking to take over the 87 car for second place.
Yeah, just a couple of laps ago, Eric Hutton was about to challenge for the lead. Something must have happened because he fell back to over a second behind, but he's fallen right into the clutches of Jonathan Cofield, who's going to try and take away the second position here if he can find his way around the 87. That gap not all that large right now as they make their way down the front straightaway. Cofield going to try and lurk his way around here. He had a great time coming off of turn 2 last time around. Will he do it again?
No, Alex, now that I'm thinking about it, one thing that we haven't really talked about being a factor on these race cars and the tires, the temperature. What that temperature might be, nothing too crazy, just almost 100 degrees. 96 degrees Fahrenheit on the track right now, and that's going to play a huge factor in how these guys can drive these cars as hard as they can, but maintain the tires as long as they can.
Yeah, it hasn't been a super hot track temp out there tonight, which has been incredibly helpful in the grand scheme of things. You see Cofield going to try and take a look to the inside here of Hutton. He'll take away that spot, and he moves up the P2. Kaiser gets around Schwartz. The 25 is going to be looking for more here as well. The 25, I think, has had some of the best long-run speed of any car in the field tonight. As you see him work his way past 4th and 5th there, he moves up into 3rd. See James Silver is going to duke it out a little further on back as well. He gets around Schwartz, so this 3rd through 7th group starting to close in a little bit.
I apologize for this, folks. I am in the middle of some weather right now. It looks like I'm having some issues with my internet. That's not favorable by any means. We'll get everything working again here shortly and try to get back to the action on the track without much hesitation.
Yeah, hopefully it holds out for you. I know the weather by you has not been on your side tonight, but so far it's been cooperative at least to this point in getting us the opening 140, 150 laps of this race down and away with relatively no issues. So you see now the 84 of Dave Farmer. He's got some company up at the front of the field. Here comes the 58 of Cofield, going to close right into the back bumper. Sean Kaiser not too far behind as well, but Cofield going to look to try and take away this spot as they make their way through 3 and 4. Down to the inside here is Cofield. Bit of a slide there for the 84. Cofield now takes the lead. Sean Kaiser going to follow him right on through, diving in there on Farmer. The 25's long-run pace continues to shine here. He's worked his way up in the P2, and he is bearing down on the new leader, Jonathan Cofield. Rounds, turns 3 and 4 they go. Cofield, about a 3-car length, maybe 4-car length gap over Sean Kaiser right now. These two cars doing their damnedest to try and get some separation from Dave Farmer and the rest of the field, and they've done so to good effect.
All right, I think I've recovered everything now, and I've got controls of the cameras once again.
Welcome back. You haven't missed a ton up there. Just a little bit of a battle there for the lead. And jumping a little farther on back, James Silvers now making a bit of a run toward the front. He's moved up into P3 ahead of the 48 of John Schwartz. The 87 machine of Eric Hutton has fallen all the way back to 11th. Dave Farmer a lap down. That's all because they're coming down pit road at this point. Green flag pit cycle is on for what would likely be the second to last time here tonight.
Take a look at who's in 5th place, battled back after that big wreck we saw about 40 laps ago. Yusuf Ghali, back in the top 5 now.
And it might be more than that in just a second. He is closing in on the back bumper of Schwartz here as they make their way down the backstretch into 3. Golly goes to the inside. Try and make this pass happen down toward the apron. Didn't quite get it to work that time but closed up about a car length. That 45, despite the damage it would have taken, got it all repaired on pit road, and seems like it still has quite a bit of pace in it there, Logan. He seems to be really, really fast at the moment, despite what it's been through tonight.
Absolutely, and another battle a little bit further behind him. Bobby Hall on the back end of Nick Mills, as we finally see Yusuf make that pass, so we can take a look at these guys now and see how this plays out for him.
Yeah, this is the battle for 6th. Nick Mills, Bobby Hall Jr. here in the 1. Both of these guys have been up and down the field. They've run in just about every position you can run in here tonight. They currently find themselves dead smack in the middle of the top 10. Hall had a really good run as Golly gets around Silvers now. That's another position there for the 45 and his hunt to try and get back up to the front. Having a really solid recovery drive there is Yusuf Golly.
Bobby Hall Jr. does make the pass on Nick Mills, puts himself into 6th place right after I panned away from it.
Nature of the beast when it comes to trying to catch all the action on track at once is, we got to see one pass. Unfortunately, had to miss the other one, but, you pick your battles where you can find them. As you see, speaking of picking battles here, the 17 of James Silvers hasn't quite gone away from the 45 of Yusuf Golly. He's remained within a car length here. Just hasn't had that pace to try and go back at him. But he's stayed with him all, basically every step of the way.
John Schwartz keeping his name in the hat right now, sitting in 5th place, not too far behind the 17 car James Silvers. Early be looking to make a move after maybe a couple more laps.
Yeah, this is that part in the run where, a couple of cars have already made their way down pit road, and then we have the big group of cars that have tried to extend it as long as possible on this run. We're seeing a lot of cars do that to great effect. Dave Farmer had come down pit road a few laps ago. We knew he was on 9 laps older tires than most of the rest of the field. And I think that's really the gap at the moment. So I'd imagine within the next couple laps, you'll see a lot of these guys make their way down pit road once again. As we're nearing the closing stage of this race, lap 157 of 220 right now. Jonathan Cofield, your leader, up 2.5 seconds over Sean Kaiser. It's another couple tenths back to Yusuf Golly. You can see right now on track as they get around the lap traffic of Drew Prail. The 25 and the 45, those two are battling for position, as are the 17 and the 48. Top 5 cars all of a sudden nose to tail. They've all found each other on track here in record time.
James Silver's almost a mishap there with Drew Prail, but able to recover it. You saw him get a little bit squirrely there, but kept the car straight, got around Drew, and now he's going to chase back down the 48 of John Schwartz.
That he is. He's going to try and work his way back up there. Has some opportunity to do so here. The lap traffic now out of the way. So if there's any tires left on that 17 machine, time to try and kick it in the high gear before you lose out on 2nd through 4th as they're starting to open up just a little bit again. Yusuf Golly up in the 3rd, a great recovery drive for him. Same deal with the 48 of John Schwartz. The 25 we've known has had great long run speed all day, and the 17 of James Silver has stayed in the picture most of the day. Maybe not the fastest car on track, but has consistently been running inside that top 5. So a lot of talent and a lot of points up for grab in these couple positions here that are all floating around. As next time by, we will hit the 80 to go mark, entering lap 161 of 220.
There's what we were talking about, the VSPEED ability to do math. We are at 60 left, Alex.
Yep, no, you're absolutely right. I cannot count. The VSPEED curse when it comes to math strikes again. It is ever present and permeating through every broadcast. I feel like math's a tough one. It certainly is.
I can't really put into words how impressed I am by the recovery of the 45 car right now. Be involved in such a big accident, what are we, about 60 laps ago now, and finding himself in the top 3. It's that's impressive driving by that 45 car, Yusuf Ghali.
That it has been. He has done a great job here. If we look a little farther on back, that is the 44 of Radburn Shutters trying to get up to Nick Mills as they make their way down the backstretch here. That's the battle for 7th, although the 44 a little too far back to really make any serious noise in that battle as they run. So feels like a prime opportunity potentially to take a quick rundown of the field as they run. Jonathan Cofield currently scored as your leader, 1.3 seconds ahead of the 25 machine of Sean Kaiser. Then you get back into 3rd place there. It is the 45 of Yusuf Ghali, who's done a great job rebounding here today to make some points happen after the incident. John Schwartz running 4th. James Silver's 5th. And now on board here with the 88 of Nick Mills. You know, you see what he's seeing on board with that 88 machine as they go in the 1. Lap traffic of Drew Prail ahead. Almost a bit of contact there, but they'll get that sorted out. You see Bobby Hall just ahead of both of them. And he will clear him and get on by, trying to chase down the 94 of Bobby Hall here. Not a huge gap, about 2-3 car lengths here, the difference. So we're getting into the closing stages here. You got to imagine some of these cars are thinking about fuel. And yes, as we're saying it, Bobby Hall going to bring it down pit road here.
Once again, a little bit of more internet issues. I guess this weather's starting to really roll in around me. I apologize once again. Try to recover as quick as possible here and get you a different camera angle.
But in the meantime, prime opportunity to see what it would be like if you were behind the wheel of one of these 670 horsepower NASCAR Next Gens as they make their way around Darlington Raceway. Prime opportunity to get into what that rhythm would feel like. That these drivers have had the opportunity to really be involved in all night here. Only a couple of cautions, and most of them happened within the same stretch of about 10 laps. So most of this race has been green and clean, and they've been putting on a good show here. You know, Darlington, not an easy track to drive, contrary to how these guys might be making it look. I know every time I try driving Darlington, I almost always put it into the turn 2 wall. And we've seen very little bit of that here tonight. Just goes to show how good the racecraft is here in the OiL Cup Series. And, you know, as we're closing in toward the end of this one, this is really the time you got to start thinking, all right, might have one more opportunity to come down pit road. How am I going to make the most of it to set myself up the best in the closing stage of this run? Do you try the undercut? Do you try to extend it as long as possible? What is the approach really becomes the question. As you see a battle for second here developing, Sean Kaiser, Yusuf Ghali, and then they're just behind them. It's the 48 of John Schwartz. So second, third, and fourth, the pressure's still on here. Going into turn 3 here. Kaiser maintains that gap over Ghali. About the same gap back to Schwartz. Both of them looking to the inside here as Schwartz goes high. Nice little block there from the 25 to keep that second place position as they run. And while this battling continues, it just continues to open the door for the leader, Jonathan Cofield. But all these points very critical for some of these cars on track right now, trying to get every point they can get their hands on here. This is the second of 3 races in the second round of the playoffs here. As you see the 25 and the 58 peel down pit road. Cofield and Kaiser both making their way down for the potential final pit stop of the day. Brings Yusuf Ghali now to the front of this race with the 48 just behind him.
Bobby Hall Jr. already visiting pit lane. So he's going to have a slight advantage here. Should gain his lap back in the midst of all these guys that'll come down pit lane eventually. Might have an opportunity to make a decent run up towards the front. Yusuf Ghali now pulling into pit lane. John Schwartz, your new race leader for the moment.
The 48, his odyssey back to the front of the field after being trapped a lap down for a good 60, 70 laps, has found himself back in the lead here for probably the first time this evening, unless he was able to steal a lap or two during the pit cycle in the opening stage. But the 48 going to bring it down pit road now. You see Hensley going to be on track there. Silver's really driving it in deep, nearly missed the commitment cone, but got it down the speed. Nick Mills going to stop here as well. Final pit cycle well underway as the 44 Shutters going to inherit the lead, I believe.
Radburn Shutters right now still out on old tires. But he's going to be looking to come down probably in the next lap or two. He's got nobody behind him putting any pressure on him to really try to force this thing down pit road as he does make that turn down. And is he going to get slowed down? He does. Clean entry for Radburn Shutters on that.
Not really any issues for anyone on pit road today. I would have figured that pit road was going to play a little bit of a bigger factor here, especially under green flag conditions, but these guys have been pretty clean with it tonight. And no one's really had any sort of speeding issues or overshooting their box or anything of that nature. It's just been a pretty steady day at the office on pit lane for these pit crews, which, is certainly the way they would prefer it. Because the more excitement there is on pit lane, usually the more there's a chance that something went wrong.
Absolutely. And Eric Hutton, now your new race leader for the moment, still have yet to come in. So he'll also be looking in the next couple of laps. David Farmer behind him, still on the old tires.
Closing in here, 45 laps to go from Darlington next time around. On board here with the 87 of Eric Hutton, who has about half the track to himself, it seems like. It's about half a straightaway back to Matt Grenier and nearly an entire corner up to the car in front of him. So plenty of smooth sailing right now for the 87 as he continues just to log laps as we jump back a little bit further to the 84 Farmer. He scored 6 seconds behind the current leader, Eric Hutton. Looks like a couple of cars had just come down pit road. I think the 25 had just stopped a moment ago. So Eric Hutton leads over Dave Farmer right now by about 6 seconds. Both of those cars still have to come down pit road. Only about 7 or so cars have yet to make their stops. Bobby Hall, Jonathan Cofield. Although I think Cofield may have already stopped. I'm going to ask you, Logan, if that's the case. Trying to keep a mental track of where they are here. If that's the case, they'll have a bit of a battle going on there with Yusuf Ghali, but no, he is not. So I stand corrected. Those two cars might just be running within a couple seconds of each other here. I think they both might need to make their way down pit road one more time tonight. We've reached that final stage of the race where everyone knows at this point more or less what they've got, and the only way you're really going to get any sort of forward progress is with an altering pit strategy compared to what your competitors are going to be doing. It's been working out pretty well right now for the 87 of Hutton, who still needs to come down pit road. Farmer, Bobby Hall, Jonathan Cofield, Yusuf Ghali. That's your top 5 at the moment, as they continue just to take care of business up at the front of the field. A couple of cars who have had really good speed today, currently not where they want to find themselves on track. They just came down pit road and have some work to do to get back up there. You know, guys like Radburn Shutters, Brandon Holder, or the 25 there of Sean Kaiser, who was running second a little while ago. now currently scored a lap down because he's already come down pit road and has some work to do here in the closing 40 laps to try and get himself back into position. We know he's got that long run speed. It's just a matter of he can go out there and capitalize.
It's just gonna be a matter of time. And, you know, one more caution can really change the whole pace. We've said it multiple times with the other cautions, but at this late stage of a race, it could really stir the pot up a lot.
That it could, and you know, cautions more or less can strike from anywhere here at Darlington. We've seen them catch the field by surprise a couple times here tonight, but we've been green for about the past 70 laps or so, so no real issues as of recently. But that was also the case for about 40-some laps before the initial natural occurring caution of the race between Hensley and Blazkowski, so certainly that danger still looms for a number of these drivers, especially those who run near each other, like the 45 of Gali here and the 48 of Schwartz, although the 45 just going to let him go. That was the battle for fifth, although it's hard to call it that as the 45 more or less just welcomed him through the front door.
Yeah, it seemed like he pretty well opened it and just coaxed him on in. He kind of gave that one to him.
And you wouldn't expect it this late in the race to just be given a position away. But ultimately, seems like, you know, he might just be trying to conserve whatever he's got left on that thing, or trying to stretch it as long as possible so he can make it on this final stint. Who knows what the plan is there for the 45. But settling back right now in the 6th place, about 13 seconds back from the leader, Eric Hutton, who ever since he inherited the lead from the pit cycle has not looked back. He has just been cruising around here at Darlington Raceway. No real pressure to speak of from anyone behind him. He's actually opened up another half second over Dave Farmer. That gap now 6.5 seconds between first and second. So Eric Hutton will need to stop one more time before this is said and done, but he has built himself a considerable nest egg out there. As you see now, Farmer under attack from Bobby Hall. As the 94 might look to the inside here. Here comes Cofield as well.
You almost have to think Eric Hutton, David Farmer still have yet to pit. They've got to be just holding out hope for a caution. I think at this point, it's too late for a green flag pit stop and still come out on top.
You see now, it looks like Farmer, the moment third and fourth caught him, that was his time to pull the parachute and make his way down pit road. Cofield and Hall now are going to keep charging up toward Hutton. They've got a lot of track to try and make up here to get to the back bumper of the 87. Cofield within 6 seconds, the closest anyone's been the past 20 laps, but still a massive gap from first to second as you see Yusuf Gali here battling it out with James Silvers.
The Yusuf still kind of falling off the pace right now, with Silvers able to catch up to him, looking to take advantage of the moment.
And they'll make their way off of turn 4 here as it looks like the 87 has just come down pit road. So Hutton bails out from the lead to finally make his final stop of the race. Jonathan Cofield will inherit the lead. And the 58, for the second time here tonight, will take the lead at Darlington. Not too much time left in this one here. Only about 34 laps to go. It's just not, still has to come down pit road, I believe, one more time. Will not be able to extend it another 34 laps on this current tank of fuel. So that will be tentative to change. Bobby Hall, John Schwartz, Yusuf Gali, James Silvers. Right now, your top 5.
Kind of getting back to the point where there's just a lot of spacing going on. You know, the closest battle right now between 3rd, 4th, and 5th, staying within about a 2-second gap of each other. Then further back, you've got gaps of 2 seconds, 5 seconds, 20 seconds. It's really starting to spread out here, but Bobby Hall Jr. about 2.5 seconds back from Jonathan Cofield right now. It's not looking like there's going to be too much of a competition coming to the end of this.
It's certainly feeling like that might be the case. What's interesting to me is, a few laps ago, Bobby Hall and Jonathan Cofield were both running around the same point on track when they got around some lap traffic. And then the moment they got clean air, the 94 just did not have the same pickup that the 58 did, as Cofield really opened the gap to him. So, interested to see where Cofield is going to finally pull the trigger to come down pit road. At this point in the race, we're coming into 30 laps to go. There's just not a whole lot of time at this point to do your green flag pit stop and then have enough time to make your way back through the field. So he might be banking on a caution here, because that might be the only way that this is going to work out for him. Then you got Hall, Schwartz, Golly, and Silvers and Shutters there, and through your top 6 cars. It is interesting to see how this is going to play out here as you see Schwartz go on by Hall. Yusuf Ghali's going to follow him on through. James Silver is not too far behind. Almost a bit of contact with the 45 and the 94. But Ghali going to dive it in here, take away that spot from the 94 of Hall. James Silver's not so lucky. He'll slide back in behind the 94 machine and try and set up his pass here on the backstretch.
Alex, how many times have we seen that move from the 45 tonight where he just makes that late dive into the corner and kind of forces the guy up the track and just gets a much better run out? He's done that so many times tonight.
That he has, but what's really been impressive, I feel like, is how well he's been able to do it without making contact with another car. Outside of 1 or 2 occasions where there's been a bit of contact, he's been really good about driving it in tight but not actually hitting the guy to his outside. And that's part of the reason why he was so dominant in the early going here.
It's part of the reason why he's in first place for the points.
Yeah, I mean, this is a staple of his racecraft so far this year has been the ability to make some of these passes that no one else has been able to make stick. We've seen it happen a lot here tonight. The incident back around lap 115 really hampered his ability to race this from the front of the field. But he's been able to convert it into a really strong points day as he's running in third here, just behind John Schwartz in second. And potentially not out of this thing for the race win, depending on how pit cycles fall. But, he's had a really good run of things here, though. Jonathan Cofield, our leader, a win here tonight would be huge for him, not only locking him into the round of 8, would also be his 3rd victory of the season, moving him into sole control of 2nd place for most wins this season. So, a lot on the line here for the 58, not only for the points, but trying to lock himself into the next round. But he's got a lot to happen now, still between this moment and the end of this race, knowing that he has to come down pit road one more time.
Absolutely, and you look a little bit further back, Bobby Hall Jr. finally coming down pit road here. See if he can make anything happen this late in the race. Not looking good for him. 24 laps to go. Unfortunate timing for him. No caution to help him out. Radburn Shutter's now up into the top 5. Staying close behind James Silvers. He'll be looking to make a move any point now.
Yeah, you can see that gap about a car length. The Silvers machine up into the wall just a hair. Going to let the 44 close in, get a good run down the back straightaway. Will he try to make something happen, though, in the 3? A little too far back to make that one work as he tries to nudge his nose to the inside here of the 17. Able to get there just for a moment. Good run off the corner there for Shutters, and he will fly on by going into turn 1. The 44 are going to take that spot away from James Silvers. And the up and down day for Radburn Shutters continues here. But he's looking pretty good right now running P4.
Absolutely, and up a little bit further ahead, Yusuf Ghali now is caught up to John Schwartz. Saw a little bit of contact there to the back bumper as the 87 is in the mix. Eric Hutton 1 lap down in 8th place. Could be causing some sort of an effect on the 48 car whenever it comes to the aerodynamics going through the corners here. Maybe kind of aiding the 45.
It's certainly a possibility. These next-gen cars so aero-dependent compared to some of their older predecessors. may have had an opportunity for the 45 to reel in the 48, knowing that that dirty air was hitting the nose of Schwartz off the back bumper of Hutton. This battle will continue here. Currently, only 7 cars scored on the lead lap, as not everyone has made their way down pit road. These 2 cars on track, though, battling for second place. You see Yusuf Ghali starting to try and force the issue now on Schwartz. Gonna maybe look to the inside here. The 48 gonna run a half lane higher to take away that lane. He'll stay planted directly in front of that 45 machine as they make their way down the front stretch. This time by, 20 laps to go here from Darlington. Jonathan Cofield in the lead at the moment, but for how much longer before he has to come down pit road?
In about 30 laps for Jonathan Cofield, he might have just enough to get across that start-finish line without having to come in. It's hard to say, though. You know, he's had such a good pace so far, 2 seconds ahead of second place right now. You can't really tell if he's saving fuel or not.
It's also tough to tell if he is saving fuel. How much can he afford to save as these 2 cars continue the battle on track? You know, you can only afford to dial it back so much before these 2 cars, who are just fighting each other hard for second, are going to run you down if you're not careful. So, bit of a tough situation right now for Jonathan Cofield, but he might be trying to stretch this thing to the end on fuel. And if so, it'd be a great display of fuel save from the 58 to make it all the way to the end. The gap, though, coming down a little bit, only 1.6 seconds now. The gap from the leader to the nose of John Schwartz.
We've got the 15 car, Matt Grenier. He's going to shake things up here with these 2 guys on the lead lap. Grenier 2 laps down at the moment. Fresh tires, though, so he definitely has the pace to get around them. But can he do it cleanly?
Yeah, I think the last thing he wants to do is really try and derail this battle that these 2 have going on, but he also wants to try and get around them, knowing that he's got the fresher stuff. Right now, laying in wait now, going to lunge it in here on Yusuf Ghali. Going to force the 45 to the high side. The 15, though, not done yet. He's going to look to the inside here, the 48 off of 4. Couldn't get the run he wanted. Completely separated this battle for second between the 48 and the 45. Matt Grenier inserts himself into the mix as he continues to try and get one of his laps back. And that is going to really hurt the momentum of the 45.
Grenier able to pass Schwartz a lot easier than getting around Yusuf Ghali there. And it really helped close up that gap for Yusuf.
He's reeled in the 48 once again here as we've got 15 laps to go in this one. Yusuf Ghali battling it out with John Schwartz for second right now. Going to dive to the inside here on the 48. Has a nose ahead. Can he clear him through the middle of the corner? Yes, he will. He'll slide up in front of him, taking away that second spot. Yusuf Ghali, our pole sitter, who led every lap basically of the opening stage, got marred back in traffic afterwards and then got caught up in a wreck around lap 115. Had to fight his way back into the picture, and you can see the gap. Cofield was that black car just at the bottom of your screen. Yusuf Ghali, the gap now 1.4 seconds between him and the leader.
Ghali definitely has a chance to catch up with Cofield here if he can keep the pace that he's been on. But at the same time, if Cofield's been saving tires and saving fuel, he might not let the 45 car get close enough to really make a run on him.
This situation's starting to get a little dicey for the leader, Jonathan Cofield. As they come to the line, it'll be 12 laps to go. He continues to be out front, trying to stretch this thing to the end. But the 45 starting to reel him in just a little bit. You can see the blimp cam. Decent bit of track difference between the 2 still, but there is enough aero dependency in these cars where if the 45 could work his way into the draft of the 58, that would take effect a little bit down these front and back straightaways. They're long enough to make the draft useful.
Absolutely, and we're going to see Cofield coming up on the back end of Blake Hensley here, lap traffic. See how that affects him. If he can get around Hensley in the 31 easily and put that lap car between him and the 45, it'll definitely help him out. But he's got to get there and get it done. That's going to be the biggest struggle here.
That he does. He especially seems to be losing a lot of time to the 45 and 3 and 4. He lost about 2/10 here last corner. Going to see what the gap is here. He kept it about even that time around. Now opening up the gap, the 45 had a bad exit off of 4 there. So 10 laps to go here from Darlington. Jonathan Cofield going to try and hold on to this one. Trying to manage that gap at about 1.1 seconds between him and second place Yusuf Ghali. John Schwartz, the only other car within 2 seconds of the leader. He's back in third at 1.6 seconds back. You see the 48 machine drop it down in the fourth gear there through 3 and 4. Trying to get a little more run off the corner. He's maintaining that lead for now, but I wouldn't necessarily say this is safe, as the 45 with a great run through 1 and 2. He's closed it down to under 9/10.
As we're on board there with the 58, you can tell he is in full fuel-saving mode, clutching in whenever he's going into the corners, saving as much as he can. So he's going to try to stretch this out to the end, but will he be able to make it? Yusuf Ghali on the same stint as Cofield, so they're both going to be cutting it close here as we're into the last 7 laps here at Darlington.
This is really where things get tricky if you're Jonathan Cofield, because you have to be mindful of the fuel save, because the last thing you want to do is not only run out of fuel, but then you're going to jeopardize not only the race win, but then a ton of points when you have to get that thing towed back to pit road. But also, while you're trying to fuel save, you can't be too safe on the fuel save, because you only have a 1 second gap back to Yusuf Ghali if you're trying to get this race win to punch your ticket to the round of 8. It's a really delicate situation that he's trying to balance, and he's done a really good job so far, at least from what it looks like up here. The big question mark, though, is if he'll have enough fuel to make it to the end. Be 6 laps to go this time by. Yusuf Ghali has closed in to 0.6 of a second. They are closing in. Meanwhile, back there for third, you see John Schwartz having some company here with Dave Farmer, who's a lap down trying to get back onto the lead lap here, but has fresher tires to boot.
Luckily, David Farmer able to get around him cleanly, and a caution at this point would ruin a lot of drivers' races right now.
There's no doubt about that. 5 laps to go here in the Southern 299. Jonathan Cofield trying to manage the 0.6 of a second gap over Yusuf Ghali. The 58 has had an up and down day where he was trapped a lap down for a little bit, got his way back onto the lead lap, and is trying to stretch this fuel cell as long as it can go to try and pick up a win here tonight. Yusuf Ghali trying to make it 2 in a row here after his win last week in New Hampshire. Got involved in a wreck early, but the pole sitter in position when it matters most to try and steal a victory back from the 58. This is where it all is going to start coming down to it. 4 laps to go here through 1 and 2. Cofield only now 0.4 of a second ahead of the 45. Yusuf Ghali closing in.
It's got to be a terrifying view in that rear view mirror for the 58. Seeing that 45 getting closer and closer every lap, just about gaining a 10th per lap on him.
And at a 10th per lap, you'd have just enough time to get to the 58 as this one ends. 3 laps to go. You see both of these cars trying to diamond off the corner. Here comes the 45. It's the closest he's been all evening long since he got involved in that caution. Here they go in the 3 and 4. The 45 is there on the scene. The 58 in the wall. The 45 of Ghali now to the inside. The battle for the lead as they make their way to the line with 2 to go. Diving in. Ghali will take that position away with a slide in the turn 1. Does the 58 of Cofield have anything left in the tank here, or does he have to go into extreme fuel save mode just to make the end of this race?
A little bit further
Meanwhile,
back here. Got the 44. Radburn Shutters closing in for third place on John Schwartz in the 48.
He's going to try and take away that third spot here as we make our way on to the final lap of this one. Yusuf Ghali was the pole sitter. Had such a good run going in the early going. Got caught up in an incident earlier on in this race. Had to rally his way back from a pretty hefty deficit. But now coming off of turn 4. Wins at New Hampshire in the first race of the round of 12. He's going to win it here at Darlington in the second race of the round of 12. Yusuf Ghali wins the Southern 299. Incredible stuff there from the 45. What a determined drive after the caution. I know we've talked about it a lot here tonight, but doesn't make it any less impressive. I mean, the nose of that car was fully caved in, and he had to get that thing fully patched up on pit road.
Absolutely, and you could tell right now he was so close on the fuel, not even able to stay out for any sort of victory burnout tonight. We're going to send this over to a commercial real quick, and then we'll be right back with your final results and your podium interviews.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series in officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
And
Welcome
we
back.
are back. Go ahead, Alex. All you, buddy.
I was just gonna say. I mean, we're just so excited that getting it back here for the podium interviews, man. I mean, it's what that race. With all the pit strategy, came down to a fuel mileage race between our top two cars in the closing laps, and a pass for the race win with 2 to go.
It was impressive driving throughout, and again, Yusuf Ghali, a huge deficit there around, like you said, lap 115, getting involved in that big accident, able to battle all the way back, taking the win tonight. It's just, it's impressive driving to watch. All these guys throughout the field today.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is not an easy track to drive, let alone an easy track to drive for 220 laps at this place. I mean, they did phenomenal stuff out there. Only the 3 cautions, and that includes the scheduled stage break at lap 65, so only 2 naturally occurring ones. And they happened within like 5 laps of each other, right dead smack in the middle of this race, so a big green flag run to end it. It came down to a great battle of strategy when it was all said and done. Logan, would you like to do the results first, or do you want to start talking to our podium finishers?
Let's go ahead and run through our results before we get to those guys, and we'll kind of line everybody up here. As you know, Yusuf Ghali taking home the win here at Darlington. Jonathan Cofield following closely behind in second. John Schwartz in third. Radburn Shutters in fourth. Whole lot of fours for him there in the 44 car. James Silver's coming in 5th. Nick Mills in 6th place. Brandon Holder in 7th. Eric Hutton, unable to get back to the top 3 where we saw him for majority of this race, finishing out in 8th. Bobby Hall Jr. in 9th. David Farmer also unable to get back up to the top 3, top 5, where we saw him consistently all night, finishing out in 10th.
And then the back half of the field tonight, Matt Grenier will bring it home 11th and number 15. Sean Kaiser had some really good long run speed. Just a bad stop at the end of this race brings him down to 12th. Blake Hensley going to be 13th here tonight, just ahead of Drew Prail. Cody Anderson is out of this race earlier with a 15th place finish. And the number 3 of Colt Blaskowski will bring it home in 16th tonight after that incident there with 31.
Well, Alex, what do you say we get right down to business and get to John Schwartz with the 3rd place finish tonight?
Alrighty. We're going to bring him on in. Joining us now in his 3rd place finisher, John Schwartz, number 48 machine. John, I mean, you had a bit of an up and down day. We're up in the front of the field in the early going. Got trapped a lap down for a while, found your way back, and ultimately were able to rally for the podium finish. Talk us through your day a little bit. Seems like you had a wild one.
Yeah, I mean, I was just talking to Cofield and Yusuf there, and they were saying that we started 1, 2, 3 and finished 1, 2, 3. But man, it didn't feel like we were running 1, 2, 3 the whole race. That's for sure. But yeah, that first stage really could not have gone any worse for me at all, because Yusuf and I, again, working together, trying to figure out how to save tires. And we thought that having an extra set in the second stage would work, so we stayed out. And he managed to stay on the lead lap, and I got past, and Kofi was able to stay ahead of me, so he got the lucky dog, and I got a lap down, and I didn't think I had a chance. I mean, I thought if I got lucky, I might get the wave or something, but luckily then we had that wreck early on. I was able to get the lap back and just fought so hard. Kind of a bit upset. I mean, even more than last week, because I felt like we had the best positioning at the end there, because Yusuf pitted, I think, lap 171, Cofield pitted 170, I pitted 172, and in Radburn, I think, pitted like a lap after me. So it just seemed like the fresher, or we were able to push a little bit more because we had a bit more fuel, since everyone was stretching it right to the end there. We all thought Cofield was running out. I don't know what you guys in the booth were thinking, but
I can assure you that we were very convinced he was still going to have to pit until about 20 to go, where he said, oh, well, he might be able to stretch it. And lo and behold, not only him, but the 45 as well. But I was fully ready to count out the 58 and making it to the end there. I'll be entirely honest with you.
Yeah, I've never been more disappointed and impressed at the same time by that 58 making it. So unfortunately, couldn't pull out the win. Happy that Yusuf was able to make it, but yeah, we still got that 1 lap lead, so happy to get those bonus points. But still happy to get a 3rd place with this throwback livery to Lowe's and Ally paint scheme. Definitely followed Jimmy Johnson in the mid 2000s and early 2010s, and his final championship was on my birthday, so definitely happy to have this throwback to him. Happy to put this on the podium, and yeah, really solid day. Couldn't really pick up as many points as we wanted, having to sacrifice that first stage, but still happy with the result nonetheless. So for the track too tough to tame, I think we didn't fully tame it, but it didn't kill us in the end. So I'm pretty happy with the result.
Yeah, it was pretty solid run for you, no doubt about that. And you get to tack on I'd imagine a hefty bit of points in your hunt to try and make it to the round of 8. Going into Texas next week. Does a 3rd place finish here at Darlington give you some confidence going into the last race of the round, knowing that you've built up a good bit of points here with your effort today?
I think more than anything, it just gives me like a sense of where we need to continue to work. Tire management has been like a struggle throughout, and like as we pitted a few laps later, we should have really expected to be able to fight and even pass those guys up ahead. But I expect that the later these races go, with Kansas in the round of 8 as well, tire management gonna be a big factor to play with. So I'll continue to work on that, but definitely good momentum moving forward. So.
Alrighty. Well, hey, congrats on the podium finish here tonight, John. Anyone you'd like to thank or shout out while you're up here in the booth?
Yeah, once again, shouting out at Aerokinetics since we're approaching the Nürburgring 24 hours, should be like in a week or so. So happy to represent those guys, and hopefully we'll be able to get a good result in that race. That's something I've been looking forward to for the last few weeks. And of course, High Pre Sim Race City. Make sure to check out their sim racing equipment. And finally, Ritz Racing and all the guys over at OiL that are putting together a great show, and VSPEED as well. So.
Alrighty. Well, with all the bases covered, we want to thank you again for joining us up in there, joining us up in the booth here, John. That's a tough sentence to say, apparently, for some reason. But want to thank you for joining us up here. Congrats on the podium finish, and we hope to see you again in the VSPEED booth here real soon.
Yeah, thanks, and congrats on surviving the marathon, the long race.
Yeah, you as well.
Appreciate it. Bye.
And that was our third place finisher here tonight, John Schwartz. Marathon race, no doubt about it. A lot of green flag action there, but he was able to rally his way back into a third place finish, exactly where he started, although most of his time racing was anywhere but third.
Yeah, just about through the field multiple times. So it's good to see John up here finishing in third place after such a just widespread race throughout.
Yeah, he certainly had quite the adventure. And I believe now we'll be having you stand by here with second place finisher Jonathan Cofield.
Yeah, we'll get Jonathan Cofield up here in the booth and see what he has to say. Jonathan, you got a copy, buddy?
Yeah, I got you.
Right, man. So I am curious. I hopped on board with you there for a little while towards the end of that. How close were you on fuel? And how big of a factor was that for you towards the end of the race?
Yeah, it was a big factor. I run out right before we got to the start-finish line. I knew it was going to be close when we pitted, so I had a really good pit stop. I think I got a little time on them. So I pretty much clutched the whole run, trying to maintain the gap. And then I noticed the fuel was kind of equalizing, and I was going to be half lap short. So then I started shutting the car off. But yeah, just didn't have enough fuel left there. Use of being able to stay out that one lap later, I think that helped him out, which I think he run out of fourth. I think they was digging pretty hard.
Yeah, you guys consistently battled all night. And, you started 1-2, finished 1-2. Going into next week, how does this boost your confidence for the third race of this second round?
Yeah, it's a big boost, and I like Texas. Texas is a fun track. Kind of sucks we had a low car count tonight. I'm just trying to look for some good points the next couple of days so I can move on to the next round. I know next week's the cutoff, so really like to make it to the final four. So I'm gonna do everything I can, whether it be pit strategy or just raw speed. We're gonna try to get up there.
Absolutely, and if my points are correct, I believe with your finish above James Silver's, you should be sitting in second place or maybe tied with him. Not positive on how your guys' points layout is exactly, but it'll be real close. You're either second or third after this race for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, but I heard before the race I was 2 points above David Farmer in the cut on the cut. So we'll just have to wait and see how everything shakes out.
Absolutely. And well, Jonathan, again, a great race tonight. 57 laps led, so can't be too upset with that. Going to be quite a few bonus points for you in that category as well. Before you depart with us, buddy, anybody you'd like to say thanks to?
Oh, yeah. I want to thank you, Logan and Bradley, everybody at VSPEED for coming on and broadcasting the Overtake iRacing League. A lot of good guys in here. David Farmer and Alex Healy got a good group of guys. In the trucks, Xfinity, and the Cup, all across the board. My teammates, which have been kicking butt in the other series, Bandits, proud of everybody, doing a good job. My sponsors, Cofield Asphalt Refinish and Cofield Supply and Service, and check out SM Racing Products if you don't have a button box. Put in Bandits 1 at checkout and get you $20 off purchase over $150.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you for your time, Jonathan, and great race tonight, buddy. We will see you next week.
Appreciate it, bud.
Right, and last but not least, we'll get down here to Yusuf Ghali. And Alex, I believe you've got him lined up for the next interview here.
You betcha. Down here in victory lane with the 45 machine. Yusuf Ghali, you've picked up the victory here tonight, going 2 for 2 here in the round of 12, although this one you really had the fight for until the closing couple laps.
Yeah, that was a tough one. I mean, long race, 220 laps plus. I don't know how long we went green there, but I think it was 100 something laps. So it was a long.
I would say
long
about
race.
yeah.
It's nice to so far swept the round. Maybe we can go 3 for 3. Who knows? But the bonus points are the big thing for next round with Martinsville and Bristol being that round.
Yeah, some quality added points here, and want to ask you a little bit about your day. Obviously, you qualified on pole, were the dominant car in the early going of this race, and then got caught back in traffic for a little while, and then was involved in the big incident on the backstretch there. At that point, did you think standing in victory lane was still a possibility when you were caught up in that one?
I mean, with this car, if you don't have wheel damage, it's pretty much all repairable. So I was just, sitting there anxiously waiting to get to pit road and see what damage I had. And luckily there was no wheel damage. So I was like, yeah, if we can just get this fixed, we're back in it. But I mean, you're never out of it if you don't have wheel damage, I feel.
Certainly was the case. You got back in there and rallied your way back in the closing stages of that race. And, with a couple laps to go, it seemed like you were just starting to close in a little bit on the 58 at Cofield. What was going through your mind those closing couple laps as you were trying to work your way up while also saving fuel? Because I've heard from a couple people that it seems like everybody in that front pack was running on fumes.
Yeah, I ran out at a 4, but that was perfect, I think, because we had enough momentum down the straightaway. But basically, I mean, 5 to go. I was like, we've got to win. I want to go for the win or run out. I don't want to just sit there and finish second because we're locked in the next round, so we're not really points racing. So I decided to hit the hammer with 5 to go, and we were able to barely get around the 58 there. And I mean, barely made it. Ran out coming out of 4.
Yeah, well, ultimately was just enough to get the job done here tonight, and you get to tack on all those nice points for leading 57 laps in the process. While you're here to celebrate your win, anyone you'd like to thank or shout out while you're up in the booth?
Yeah, shout out to really most of the field there for being able to keep it green there. I mean, it was tough to drive. It was a really tight setup, so you kind of knocked the wall down. Thanks to the admins, as usual, always putting this on for us. They dealt with some stuff tonight, so good on them for being able to get that sorted out. And thanks to you guys. I believe you're new for OiL here. I don't know about VSPEED as a whole, but you guys did a good job. So thanks to you guys for putting on the show.
Well, appreciate it. Yeah, I've got some plenty of reps over on the OiL Xfinity side. This is the first time, at least I've had the opportunity to do OiL Cup. Not sure about you, Logan, if you've done any of the OiL Cup races previously.
Just a handful of times, mostly as just a color commentator, but I had a blast watching you tonight, Yusuf. You put on a great show for everybody, and again, congratulations on that win.
Thank you so much.
Alrighty. So that will we want to thank you again for joining us, and we'll hope to see you again next week. Well, that is our podium interviews. Yusuf Ghali going 2 for 2 so far in the round of 12. The question will now remain, can he sweep the second round of the playoffs next week at Texas? It'll be Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. The final race of this second round of the playoffs, where the field cuts from 12 to 8. I'll be curious to see if the 45 can get it done once again and go 3 for 3, or will someone else punch their ticket on the last chance possible and make their way into the round of 8. Logan, we've saw quite a lot of racing here tonight. Any final thoughts while we've got a moment?
It's like I think Cofield said it. Unfortunate that it was such a short field, but it worked out in the favor of not being riddled with cautions all night. So it's kind of hand in hand there. But, again, these drivers put on a great show tonight. Can't complain whatsoever with only 2 natural cautions here in 220 laps, 299 miles. It's impressive driving throughout the entire field. And again, just a great show tonight.
Yeah, it really, really was. I honestly echo those sentiments a lot. I think the run nearly 300 miles and they only have 2 cautions, and they came within like 5 laps of each other. It was literally just because everyone was all bottled up on the restart. I mean, it was just an incredible display out there from the field and a ton of fun to watch. But I do believe that is going to conclude our coverage here tonight from Darlington Raceway. So for everyone, for the VSPEED here, if you're not already subscribed, be sure to do so. We've got racing content here basically every night of the week. There was like 4 races at once going on Tuesday. I mean, that was some crazy stuff. But more OiL Cup Series action coming to you live next Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern from Texas Motor Speedway. For Logan Threlkeld and everyone here at VSPEED, I've been Alex Gagnon saying thank you so much for joining us here tonight, and we will catch you next time.